Chapter 59:16. The words on the forehead of the skeleton tiger. Please continue reading on X0VL. Seeing this, Jiang Shuangli and Ding Wenru quickly went forward to help. Yun Shuzhou took this opportunity to tell Di Baiming about the skeleton tiger's words and her own guess. Prince Charming, is the thing you are looking for in the underground palace? The location I sensed is indeed in the desert. I will help you get enough fantasy beads first, then I will go to the desert to check, Di Baiming said. Yun Shuzhou immediately caught some information from his words. You mean, you will go alone? Di Baiming nodded. After I get the things, I will use the opportunity to disappear after I teleport out. Otherwise, people will suspect you in the future, so don't go with me. Yun Shuzhou immediately pouted. Sooner or later, my identity will be exposed. At that time, your identity will not be hidden. This is simply an excuse. In the end, aren't you afraid that it'll drag you down? Sigh, who asked me to be such a waste? Even my fiancé despises me. What's the point of me living? I might as well be stuffed to death. Although Di Baiming knew that this fellow was acting shamelessly, he still had to explain. I'm not afraid of you dragging me down. I'm afraid that you'll be in danger. Have you forgotten? I have the corpse stabilizing pearl. Why would I be afraid of those corpse soldiers? It's just a pity that the little grasshopper didn't come in together, otherwise, those corpse soldiers wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between the little grasshopper's teeth. Speaking up to this point, Yun Shujia's heart moved. Although the little grasshopper didn't come in, she could still bring out the corpse soldiers' corpses and feed them to the little grasshopper. A certain someone had always been unable to dissuade He Xinzhou, so in the end, he could only agree with her. After finding enough fantasy beads, the two of them left the team and headed towards the desert. At this time, Nangong Shi and the other two had already successfully caught the fantasy bead. Nangong Shi used his spiritual power to restrain the fantasy bead and held it in his hand to look at it carefully. He didn't see anything special about it. Other than the colorful colors, it wasn't much different from a pearl that could calm one's mind. Nangong Shi thought for a moment and passed the pearl to Yun Shuzhou. Keep it with you for now. When we're about to leave, well, split it equally. Yun Shuzhou didn't stand on ceremony and directly put the illusion pearl into her storage ring. For the next 2 days, the 5 of them went into the forest to catch the illusion pearl. In order to enter the desert earlier, Di Baiming no longer hid his strength and easily caught a few illusion pearls. When they were surrounded by the demonic beasts, the terrifying pressure released by Di Baiming had already made Nangong Shi and the other two feel that something was wrong, so they were not surprised. However, they secretly guessed that this bias cultivation did not seem to be weaker than the other chancellors. Why did he hide his strength and enter the academy? However, they were only guessing in their hearts. No one dared to ask, and no one dared to say anything. On this day, everyone passed by a stream in the forest. Because of Jiang Shuangli's warning, no one dared to drink the water here even though the water was very clear. The skeleton tiger thought of the word on its forehead and walked to the side of the stream curiously. It wanted to see if the word on its forehead was Master or Jade. Nangong Shi and the others looked at the skeleton tiger sympathetically and silently retreated a little. The skeleton tiger quickly let out a miserable cry because it saw the word on its forehead. It wasn't the word master, nor was it the word jade. Instead, it was fucking ugly. The skeleton tiger was so angry that it fainted on the spot. It was too fucking mean. It couldn't bully a beast like this. How could it see a beast like this in the future? It didn't want to live anymore. Chapter 59:18. I'm going to terminate the contract. Please continue reading on X0VL. The skeleton tiger was awakened by the stream water. It opened its eyes and saw He Xinzhou smiling. It roared in grief and indignation. You lied to me. Why did the word jade change to ugly? I'm sorry. My hand slipped. My hand slipped and I ended up like this. Although He Xinzhou was apologizing, the expression on her face was extremely annoying. The skeleton tiger was so angry that it was trembling. No matter how stupid it was, it knew that it had been fooled. You have gone too far. I want to cancel the contract with you. If you don't let me go, I will self-destruct. I would rather die with you. The moment the skeleton tiger thought about how it would use the word ugly to throw beasts everywhere in the future, its eyes turned red. Beasts could be killed but not humiliated. It could not live anymore. Yun Shujo pouted. You're going to self-destruct? Believe it or not, you haven't even had the time to do so and you've already become a dead tiger? Moreover, I've already said that I'm going to add a pen to your name. Isn't this a pen? Moreover, what's the big deal about this? If it really doesn't work out, it'll help you fill in a few more pens. How about turning into a chick's character? The skeleton tiger was so angry that it choked and fainted again. It was such a majestic beast that it had to go out with the word chic on its head. It was better to let it die. Hei Shinjo kicked the skeleton tiger that had fainted and mumbled, it fainted so easily. Its mental fortitude is too bad. Ding Wenru and the others silently gave the skeleton tiger a bitter cry. However, it deserved it. If it were not for the cleverness of Qingsheng, they would have been bitten to death by the demon beasts long ago. The skeleton tiger was awakened by the stream water again. It stretched out its claws and clawed at its forehead. It would rather have its face disfigured than to lose face with the word ugly. The skeleton tiger quickly scratched the word on its forehead into pieces. One could imagine the grief and indignation in its heart. At this moment, Yun Shujo threw 2 pills to it. Here, stop the bleeding and stop the pain. Eat it. The skeleton tiger swallowed the 2 pills in a bad mood and roared, I want to terminate the contract. Yun Shujo sneered. Terminate the contract? You almost caused us to be eaten by the demonic beasts. Don't say that I only cut your forehead. Even if I kill you, you deserve it. Moreover, I bought all my pills with money. Are you going to eat them for free? If you don't want to die, then be obedient. Otherwise, it'll turn your. In the end, in the face of its strong desire to survive, it cowered. Yun Shujo and the others were about to leave and continue to capture the illusion pearl when Di Baiming said in a low voice, someone is coming. Everyone immediately became alert. Yun Shujo put the skeleton tiger into her spirit beast bag and looked into the distance. Soon, 10 people came over. It was really a narrow road for enemies. These 10 people were all from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. Most of them had been seen in restaurants, especially Guan Zijie. Although Guan Zijie had broken his leg because of the big split, he was now okay. He looked at Ding Wenru with killing intent. Seeing that Lan Luochen was not among them, Yun Shujo immediately breathed a sigh of relief. As long as there were no blue dregs, it would be fine. Guan Zijie put on a fake smile and said, if you guys leave now, just pretend that we haven't met before. But you have to keep Ding Wenru here. Hei Shinjo curled her lips and said, what if I say no? Guan Zijie snorted coldly and said, then don't blame us for not being polite. We have twice as many people as you guys, and you still have 2 people holding you back. You can't beat us. Chapter 59-19, The Power of the Skeleton Tiger. Please continue reading on X0VL. Nangong Shi and the other 2 weren't nervous at all. They had already witnessed the power of Beiyu. Not to mention these people, even if these people came again, they wouldn't be a match for him. However, they didn't know that Di Baiming didn't want to reveal his strength in front of these people, unless he didn't want to leave anyone alive. Yun Shujo understood Di Baiming's intentions. She curled her lips. Are we really going to fight? Although we don't have as many people as you guys, what if we add in the demon beasts? As Yun Shujo spoke, she released the skeleton tiger. Guan Zijie and the others never dreamed that Yun Shujo would actually contract a skeleton tiger. Didn't they say that the demonic beasts in the ruins of Miracle were all unruly and untamable? Didn't they say that the demonic beasts here would rather die than be enslaved? Moreover, this Yen Qingsheng was only at the 2nd level of the divine summoning realm. How could she successfully contract a skeleton tiger at the 6th level of the Moon Seal realm? It was probably a blind cat that met a dead rat and happened to succeed. Guan Zijie came back to his senses and said disdainfully, "So what if you dog, shit, and luck contracted the skeleton tiger? Can it still fight against 5 by itself? Moreover, your skeleton tiger's forehead has been scratched into a pulp by other demonic beasts. One look and you can tell that it doesn't have any ability." The skeleton tiger was depressed because of the matter on its forehead. After listening to Guan Zijie's words, how could it not be angry? It immediately spat out sparkling green flames at Guan Zijie. Guan Zijie did not expect the skeleton tiger to spit out fire at the slightest disagreement. He was completely unprepared. In addition, he was at the 5th level of the divine summoning. His cultivation level was 1 level lower than the skeleton tiger, so he was hit by the flames. Guan Zijie let out a shrill scream and rolled on the ground. The others quickly helped him put out the fire on his body. The fire had been put out, but the fire of the skeleton tiger was different from ordinary fire. Wisps of cold air quickly invaded Guan Zijie's internal organs, making him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Fortunately, everyone had come prepared. They had brought a pill to cure the cold air, so they quickly stuffed one into Guan Zijie's mouth. The skeleton tiger did not expect to be able to defeat the enemy in one move. It immediately felt that the cowardice it had suffered earlier had dissipated a little, so it let out 2 proud roars. Yun Shujo chuckled and said, "Both of our missions are to capture the Mirage Pearl. There's really no need for us to fight to the death. Moreover, even if we really fight, you might not be able to gain any benefits. When the time comes, if you are injured, your results will naturally be affected. You might not even be able to enter the 2nd round. Why bother?" These people did not have any enmity with Yun Shujo and Ding Wenru. When they saw Guan Zijie's miserable state, they did not say anything. Seeing this, Yun Shujo jumped onto the back of the skeleton tiger and cupped her fists at those people. "The green mountains will not change, and the green waters will flow forever. See you later." After saying that, Yun Shujo took Ding Wenru and the others and left leisurely. She did not look panicked at all. Those people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy looked at each other. Other than Guan Zijie, who had just woken up and was shouting, no one made a sound. Yan Qingqing was right. The most important thing now was to find the fantasy pearl. There was no need to go against them. Besides, Nangong Shi and Jiang Shuangli had extraordinary family backgrounds. There was no benefit in offending them. When Guan Zijie saw that no one was paying attention to him, he was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. "Little kitten, it seems that you are quite powerful." Yun Shujo patted the head of the skeleton tiger and said with a smile. The skeleton tiger let out a proud cry, and a strange sense of satisfaction rose in its heart. As if receiving this praise, its whole body felt comfortable. Chapter 59:20 Crying for food. In the next few days, Yun Shujo and the others did not meet anyone else. After all, the ruins of Miracle was very large, and there were only 100 people who came to train, so the chances of meeting them were very small. Yun Shujo saw that the number of fantasy beads that she had collected was enough, so she divided the fantasy beads in her hand into 5 equal portions, and gave 3 portions to Ding Wenru and the other 2. The 3 of them were stunned. There was still more than half a month before the trial ended, so why were they splitting the fantasy beads now? "I'm really sorry, Big Brother Bayu and I have to go somewhere else to take a look, so it's not convenient for us to bring you along. Anyway, there are enough fantasy beads. You can find a safe place and wait for the time limit to be up before you're teleported out, or you can find someone else to form a team. In addition, if anyone asks, you can say that you are separated from us. There are some things that you should not say. Otherwise, you all understand." When Yun Shujo said these words, she changed her usual playful manner and carried a stern killing intent. Di Baiming did not say anything. However, the terrifying pressure made the 3 of them drenched in cold sweat. How could they dare to say no? Although they had some vague guesses, they were still shocked. Where were they going? What were they going to do? Di Biming withdrew his pressure after seeing them nod in agreement. Ding Wenru asked with a trembling voice, Qingcheng, can we meet again? He Xinjiu immediately rolled her eyes. Isn't that obvious? I'm just going to take a look elsewhere, it's not like you'll never return. Well, meet again after the trial is over. Ding Wenru finally heaved a sigh of relief. She had thought that Qingcheng had abandoned her, but it turned out that it was just a false alarm. You guys have to be careful. Don't worry, we know what to say and what not to say. Nan Gongshi cupped his fists and said. Jiang Shuangli also cupped his fists. I know the principle that disaster comes from the mouth. I won't say anything that I shouldn't say to others. However, outside the dense forest, there was a large desert. The demonic beasts inside were extremely ferocious and the weather was very bad. You guys should be more careful. Yun Shujiu, Di Biming, and Ding Wenru respectively headed towards the direction of the desert. Of course, He Xinjiu was riding on the body of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger said worriedly, Are you really going to enter the desert? After receiving Yun Shujiu's affirmative answer, the skeleton tiger begged, I'm not good at marching and fighting in the desert. He Xinjiu said sinisterly. The skeleton tiger did not dare to say anything else. It continued to walk forward with tears in its eyes. Oh God, it was 80% certain that it would not live for more than a few days. Who did not know that the demon beasts in the desert were extremely ferocious, not to mention that these two ugly humans wanted to enter the underground palace. They were simply courting death. If time could be reversed, it would not have come out of the crack no matter what. At this moment, De Hua's pitiful voice sounded from Yun Shujiu's divine sense. Master, I'm starving to death. I'm begging you to feed me with tears. Di Biming had taken care of De Hua, so he was so hungry that he did not dare to torment He Xinjiu. It was only when he was starving that he mustered up the courage to beg for food. Yun Shujiu then realized that it had been a few days since she had fed De Hua, so she let it out. As De Hua wanted to eat, it came out in a solid state. When the skeleton tiger saw the cute little red piglet, it thought that it was Yun Shujiu's pet. It immediately said with disdain, You actually raised a pig? Are you planning to eat meat after you raise it? Chapter 59-21 How to Kill a Tiger. As soon as the words left the mouth of the skeleton tiger, it felt a pain in its throat. The little piglet had actually bitten its throat at some point. The skeleton tiger only felt that its blood was rapidly draining away. It hurriedly used its claws to slap the little red piglet. After much difficulty, the little piglet was sent flying, but it had also bitten off a large piece of meat. Fortunately, its skin was rough and its flesh was thick. Otherwise, it would definitely have died. De Hua swallowed the piece of meat into its stomach and roared fiercely, If you continue to spout nonsense, I'll eat you. The skeleton tiger was scared silly. Finally, it realized that it also had a backer. With a whoosh, it hid behind Yun Shujiu. Unfortunately, Yun Shujiu's small body could not block its huge body at all. It tried its best to curl itself into a big ball. It looked as comical as possible. Yun Shujiu was very happy watching the show. She threw some spirit stones and demon beast corpses to De Hua, then handed a few pills to the skeleton tiger to stop the bleeding and stop the pain. Little kitten, you'd better not provoke De Hua, this good for nothing. Otherwise, it will really eat you. The skeleton tiger nodded desperately. It was too scary. This ugly human female was scary, and her spiritual pet was even more scary. It had just come to this realization when it saw that the cute little red piglet had lost its physical form. How was this possible? It was actually a spiritual beast? It had never heard of anyone's spiritual beast being able to eat. Moreover, how could it materialize and not materialize at the same time? What kind of pervert was this? Yun Shujiu ignored the skeleton tiger that was in a state of shock. After feeding De Hua, she set off once again. The deeper they went into the desert, the higher the temperature. Yun Shujo took out a bead spat out by Guai Chao and handed it to Di Baiming. She then took out another bead and hung it on the ear of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger suddenly realized that it was enveloped by a cool aura. It felt so comfortable that it wanted to groan. It seemed that it was not without benefits to follow this wretched girl. Other things aside, this bead was not bad. It would be great if she could give it to it when the contract was cancelled in the future. At this moment, yellow sand filled the sky in front of them. Clearly, a huge demonic beast had arrived. The skeleton tiger immediately threw its previous thoughts to the back of its mind. Good my ass. Its life was going to be over. Without its life, what was the use of even better things? It said with a trembling voice, "It's over, it's over. There must be a high level duh." Yun Shujo ignored it and calmly looked at the huge demon beast that was gradually becoming clear in the distance. The demon beast looked similar to a lizard. Its body was full of bumps of all sizes. Even its skeleton had bumps of all sizes, which made people's scalp go numb. The lizard demon beast stuck out its tongue with barbs, and its cold eyes were full of greed. Yun Shujo pouted and said to the skeleton tiger, "Actually, it's more suitable to be my temporary mount than you, but it's too ugly, so I can only reject it." On the one hand, the skeleton tiger felt that Yun Shujo was shameless. It was hard to say if she could defeat the lizard, but now she was actually thinking about a mount. On the other hand, it felt a sense of crisis. If she didn't want to use it as a mount, what would she do? The lizard beast also heard Yun Shuji's words. A trace of contempt and anger flashed across its eyes. The rock with barbs suddenly grew longer and rolled towards Yun Shujo. Chapter 59:22 was so beautiful. The skeleton tiger was so scared that it let out a roar and jumped a few feet away with Hei Shinjo on its back. Then, it took a closer look and was dumbfounded. The lizard demon beast's tongue was bitten off by a spiritual ice dragon, and dark green blood spurted out. Obviously, it was highly poisonous. The lizard demon beast was both in pain and anger. It immediately fought with the spiritual ice dragon. Yun Shujo blinked her eyes and released Dehua. She said, "Didn't you say that you haven't eaten your fill? Your dessert is here." Dehua immediately pounced on the lizard demon beast. Its idea was very simple and crude. Oh my, this thing was not delicious, but it was large enough. The lizard demon beast's attention was on the ice dragon. In addition, it thought that such a small piglet spiritual power beast could do anything, so it did not take Dehua seriously and let it get close to it. The moment it got close to the lizard demon beast, Dehua turned into a real body and bit off the lizard demon beast's right eye. The lizard demon beast let out a miserable cry and rolled in the sand. Dehua went straight into its mouth and then ate from the lizard demon beast like a little mouse that fell into a rice vat. It was so beautiful that it was almost bubbling. Although it acknowledged the thief as its master now, it had food and drink, which was not bad. As for the hatred of stealing its wife, it would seek revenge in the future. The lizard demon beast was unlucky. There was an ice dragon attacking outside, and Dehua, who was eating its flesh and blood, was in its stomach. Soon, it lay on the ground dead. The skeleton tiger was trembling so much that it was about to turn into a sieve. Thinking of what it had said before, it felt that it was really lucky. This little piglet was not meant to be fed, but to eat other people. Hei Xinjia's expression was not very good, because the huge lizard demon beast was eaten by Dehua in an instant, without even leaving any bones. And this was even when it was already 80% full. She could not afford to feed such a glutton. Dehua burped and said with a face full of fear, "I'm so full, so full. After so many days, I finally had a full meal. It's really not easy." Yun Shujo glared at it and ignored it, urging the skeleton tiger to continue on its journey. Seeing that Yun Shujo ignored it, Dehua could not help but rub its nose with its small claws, and then jumped onto the back of the skeleton tiger. The skeleton tiger thought that it was going to eat it, so it rolled on the ground in fright and threw Hei Shinjo away. Hei Shinjo, who had been thrown, was speechless seeing that the situation was not good. Da Hua slapped itself and dissipated, leaving only the pitiful skeleton tiger to bear. One could imagine how miserable the skeleton tiger was. What kind of sin had it done to deserve such torture? In the next 2 days, although it encountered many violent demonic beasts, with the presence of a certain beast, it easily dealt with those demonic beasts. On this day, they finally arrived at the underground palace. The skeleton tiger pointed to the distance with its claws. Do you see it? The entrance to the underground palace is under that ring-shaped sand dune. Don't blame me for not reminding you, there are countless corpse soldiers below. Those corpse soldiers are not only very fierce, but once they are infected by corpse chi, their bodies will stiffen and eventually turn into corpse soldiers. It is precisely because of this that we have blocked the tunnel leading to the desert, so as to prevent those corpse soldiers from leaving the underground palace and attacking us. Well, if you are determined to go in, then put me into the spirit beast bag. I am useless and can't be of much help. Chapter 59-23, Underground Palace. Yun Shujo glanced at the pitiful skeleton tiger. This time, she did not reject it and put it into the spirit beast bag. Hei Shinjo took out the corpse stabilizing pearl and put it into her pocket. She then put the kitchen knife on her waist and said, "Prince Charming, let's go in and take a look." Di Baiming nodded and handed the little dragon to Yun Shujo. "If we are separated inside, I will feel more at ease with it protecting you." Yun Shujo did not refuse. Although she was a lot of dumb and cute, they were all useless. The little yellow dragon's combat strength was still a little stronger. The little yellow dragon was very happy. She could finally leave that evil star temporarily. Moreover, she could see little sister Peach blossom again. It was simply wonderful. The little yellow dragon was very happy. But Face's nose was almost crooked from anger. As soon as the little dragon entered the spirit beast bag, it kept chattering with the peach blossoms. How could a single dog like Buttface not be angry? Buttface felt that it was most likely a bad time for him. First, that idiot Tao Tai started competing with him for the pet, and now there was a little dragon competing with him for the peach blossoms. It was really annoying. At this time, Yun Shujo and Di Baiming had already found the entrance to the underground palace. Under the sandstorm, a bronze door appeared in front of them. The door was carved with ancient patterns, but it gave off an eerie feeling. Yun Shujo pursed her lips. No wonder the little cat said that there are corpse soldiers inside. This door gives off the same feeling as when I saw the little grasshopper. How do I open this thing? It's a pity that I can't use the jade talisman here. Otherwise, I would just explode. As soon as Yun Shujo finished speaking, the door actually slowly opened a crack. Yun Shujo and Di Baiming looked at each other. Di Baiming was in front while Yun Shujo was behind. They walked into the underground palace. As soon as they entered the underground palace, they felt a bone-piercing coldness. Fortunately, Hei Shinjo had a small flame protecting her body, so she did not feel any discomfort. Di Baiming had been suffering from cold poison all year round, so this coldness naturally did not bother him. The two of them looked around and saw that the walls around them were filled with exquisite murals. The contents of the murals were mostly songs and dances surrounded by immortal chi. "Prince Charming, the murals should be from the city we passed by before, right?" "Yes, it should be. There is something strange here. Be careful." Di Baiming protected Yun Shujo and reminded her. Yun Shujo nodded and followed Di Baiming forward. After taking a few steps, they heard neat footsteps coming from the front. It was especially clear in the silent underground palace. Hei Xinjia's eyes immediately lit up. It must be the corpse soldiers. The food for the little grasshopper has been found. Soon, Yun Shujo saw dozens of corpse soldiers in neat rows walking towards them. Those corpse soldiers had shriveled faces, and their exposed hands were as shriveled as mummies. Their eyes were dull and lifeless. This guy muttered in his heart. These corpse soldiers looked like zombies. He didn't know if they were afraid of things like glutinous rice. Thinking of this guy wanted to take out something like glutinous rice from his storage ring to try, but he was stunned to find that the storage ring couldn't be opened. At the same time, she found that the spiritual power in her body was gone. She looked at Biming in horror and saw that Biming was also shocked. She immediately understood that it seemed that the little gigolo's spiritual power had also disappeared. It's over, it's over. This time, she and the little gigolo would most likely become food for these corpse soldiers. Chapter 59-24 came to retrieve something. Little Joe, let's go. I'll hold them off. Biming pushed Yunchujo towards the exit. Biming regretted it now. If he had known earlier, no matter how little Joe acted coquettishly, he should not have agreed to come with her. Yunchujo naturally would not leave Biming alone and escape. She chuckled, do you think I would leave you alone? Little Joe, have you forgotten? I will not die. Leave me alone and leave this place. Biming said sternly. Yunchujo held the corpse stabilizing pearl in her left hand and the kitchen knife in her right. She said with a smile, why are you leaving? I still want to see what treasures are inside. No matter how powerful these corpse soldiers are, how can they be as powerful as the grasshoppers? Even the little grasshoppers are afraid of this corpse stabilizing pearl. I don't believe that they are not afraid. Yunchujo saw the determination in her eyes and could only say, it's fine if you don't want to leave. But if you encounter an emergency, don't worry about me. Just protect yourself, understand? Yunchujo nodded numbly. Don't worry. If a person doesn't do it for himself, the heavens will destroy the earth. I won't be foolish enough to sacrifice myself to save others. Besides, there are plenty of outstanding men. If you die, I'll find someone else. Although a certain corpse soldier knew that she was talking nonsense, his face still turned ashen. Give up on that idea. I won't die. While the two of them were talking, the corpse soldiers had already approached them. Perhaps they were afraid of the fixed corpse pearl in Yunchujo's hand, but the corpse soldiers stopped about 30 feet away from Yunchujo and Yunchujo. At the same time, footsteps came from the exit behind them. Dozens of corpse soldiers came over, but they stopped about 30 feet away from them. Although Hei Shinjo was a little worried, she said to Biming with a smile on her face, see? Fortunately, I didn't abandon you just now. Otherwise, I would have been caught by these corpse soldiers. Yunchujo said and took a few steps forward. As she wished, she saw the corpse soldiers in front of her take a few steps back, and the corpse soldiers behind her also took a few steps forward. It seems that these soldiers don't dare to come close to us within 100 feet. Since we are already inside, let's go inside and have a look. Moreover, I don't think we can go out by the original way. What do you think? Hei Shinjo blinked her eyes and said. Biming knew that Yunchujo said this because she did not want him to give up the things that he needed. He pursed his lips and nodded, okay, let's go forward. Hei Shinjo was very satisfied with a certain lord's reaction. She hated being indecisive at the most crucial moment. If you let me do it, I will let you do it. That would delay things even more. The two of them did not dare to walk too fast. As they walked, they observed the reactions of the corpse soldiers. Yunchujo noticed that the way they walked was very stiff. There was no change in their eyes. She whispered to Biming, most of these corpse soldiers don't have any self-awareness. They just act on instinct. Maybe these are just low-level corpse soldiers. They are under the control of some high-level corpse soldiers. Biming guessed. If there are high-level corpse soldiers, they will appear very soon. Oh right, what exactly did you come here to retrieve? It can't be bones, right? Yunchujo asked. Biming shook his head, it's not bones, I don't know what it is exactly, but that thing is very important to me. The large kitchen knife could cut their bones, and the Goei Batsao could devour their corpse chi. What was there to be afraid of? A certain lord had a complicated feeling. His cultivation was much stronger than his wife's, but when faced with such evil ways, it seemed that he was not as powerful as his wife. Hei Shinjo naturally did not know the complicated thoughts of a certain lord. She said valiantly, "Idol, it seems that these corpse soldiers are just so. We can go forward without worry." The two of them did not walk far before some more corpse soldiers gathered. However, they did not dare to get close to Yunchujo and Di Baiming. After a moment, another corpse general came. This time, 3 corpse generals came together. The 3 corpse generals said the same thing. They wanted Yunchujo to stay in the fixed corpse pearl. Yunchujo curled her lips. "Cut the crap. We can exchange it with the treasure you are guarding, or we can have a fight. I don't care if you fly your heads, arms, or legs." Chapter 59-26, Get Out Here. The 3 corpse generals reacted slowly. After a while, they gritted their teeth in anger. Then, the 3 heads flew towards Hei Shinjo. "Prince Charming, don't worry about it. I'll show you my chicken-killing swordsmanship." Hei Shinjo pushed Di Baiming away and said excitedly. A certain corpse general could only watch Yunchujo waving her kitchen knife with complicated feelings. She instantly cut the 3 heads into 2 halves. Corpse chi was still drifting out from inside. Hei Shinjo accepted it with a smile and fed it to Goeibatsao. Hei Shinjo shouted arrogantly, "Who else? Who else? Tell your leader to hand over the treasure quickly, or I'll kill all of you." Although the corpse soldiers were not conscious, they had instincts. After seeing that the 3 corpse generals were all dead, they began to retreat. The neat formation also began to fall apart. Seeing this, Hei Shinjo became more and more complacent. She swaggered and increased her speed. Di Baiming frowned. Previously, the skeleton tiger had said that there were many corpse soldiers in the underground palace. However, the number of corpse soldiers that had shown up was too few and too weak. "Little Joe, be careful. Something is not right." Although Hei Shinjo was very smug, she also felt that something was not right. She exchanged a look with Di Baiming and said smugly, "What's wrong? These corpse soldiers must be afraid of the corpse stabilizing pearl and the kitchen knife in my hand. Therefore, they are cowardly and don't dare to come out. Even the little grasshopper is afraid of my corpse stabilizing pearl. Of course, these corpse soldiers are more afraid." Di Baiming knew that Yunchujo was deliberately saying this to numb the enemy, so he agreed with her. However, he was on high alert and kept paying attention to the subtle changes in the surroundings. The underground palace occupied a large area. After walking for a while, another large door appeared in front of them. However, unlike the bronze door outside, this door was black. At this moment, black corpse chi overflowed from the heads of the corpse soldiers and attached itself to the patterns on the black door, while the corpse soldiers turned into dust. At the same time, the black door opened with a creak. Yunchujo stretched her neck and looked inside. It looked similar to the tunnel here. Her gaze landed on the black door. It was a pity. There was a lot of corpse chi on the door. If she were to get it out, she would definitely be able to keep the little grasshoppers for a long time. However, she could not use her storage ring now. She could not carry the door out either. What a waste. This fellow Reluck. The surrounding walls were still painted with exquisite murals, but the content had changed from singing and dancing to intense fighting. From some details, it could be seen that this painting should be of the war between the celestial race and the demon race, but it seemed to beautify the celestial race's side and paint the demon race very ugly. On the celestial race's side, there were handsome men and beautiful women. On the demon race's side, there were toads, and ugly people with scarred faces. However, it was understandable. After all, this was the ruins of God's miracle. They had to stand on the celestial race's side and paint. At this moment, the celestial race and the demon race on the mural broke through the wall and pounced on Yunchujo and Di Baiming. Di Baiming immediately used his palm wind to protect Yunchujo. Although he no longer had any spiritual power, his palm wind was still sharp and instantly sent the first few that pounced at him flying. Only then did the two of them see clearly that the things that flew out were not the celestials and demons on the murals, but black bats. When Yunchujo saw these bats, she did not know why, but she had a guess in her heart. She cursed loudly, "Bone spirit! Get out here!" Chapter 59:27. You have been exposed. The black bats paused for a moment and continued to attack Yunchujo and Biming ferociously. Yunchujo waved her large kitchen knife while laughing coldly. "Bone spirit, you have been exposed. I'm warning you, if you stop now, I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I will let you know what it means to burn your bones and scatter your ashes." The black bats paused for a moment, then pounced on her even more fiercely. Yunchujo was secretly hating in her heart. "Very good, bone spirit, just you wait." When they were in the inheritance prison, the red skeleton had set up a pile of bats outside to protect them. Yunchujo had only wanted to bluff a moment ago, but now it seemed that it really was that damned bone spirit. No wonder half of the demon beasts here were skeletons. No wonder the guardians of this underground palace were all corpse soldiers. It was really that damned red skeleton's doing. This bone spirit appeared in the prison of heritage one moment, then in the illusory sky banner the next, and now here again. It seemed like this bone spirit had hidden many things from her. I was too careless. I was deceived by it by pretending to be pitiful. This time, I have to teach it a lesson no matter what. At the same time, in the deepest part of the underground palace, a red skeleton was gnashing its teeth and muttering, "No matter what, I will kill you this time. I don't believe that I can continue to fail. This stinky girl doesn't have any spiritual power now. She won't be able to last long with that broken kitchen knife. Today, I will avenge myself. As long as I put in more effort, I'm going to succeed." As the number of black bats increased, Yunchujo and Biming couldn't hold on any longer. If the two of them had spiritual power, they naturally wouldn't be afraid of these bats. The bad thing was that they didn't have any spiritual power now. They could only rely on their movement techniques and physical strength to deal with these bats. If it weren't for their strong foundation, they would not have been able to hold on for a long time. Biming was burning with anxiety. Although he could not die, little Joe could not. He had to think of a way to escape as soon as possible. Biming looked around. When he saw the murals, his heart moved. Little Joe used the kitchen knife to cut those murals. Although Yunchujo did not understand, she still used the kitchen knife to cut the murals at the side. Almost at the same time, a black bat shrieked and turned into nothingness. Yunchujo's eyes immediately lit up. It seemed that the characters on the mural all corresponded to a bat. As long as the mural was destroyed, the black bats would disappear. The red skeleton, who was feeling smug. Damn it. It did not matter if they killed the black bats because they would be resurrected. However, if they destroyed the mural, the black bats would turn into nothingness. Just as it was thinking, Hey Shinjo said arrogantly, "Bonehead, if you still don't come out, I will destroy the murals." The red skeleton was angry and resentful. It had no choice but to take the black bats away. Yunchujo saw that the black bats had disappeared, so she did not continue to kill the murals. After all, it consumed a lot of energy, okay? She and Biming were very tired now, so it was better to conserve their energy. The two of them rested for a while and then used the liquid secreted by the Guai Chao to replenish their energy before continuing forward. After turning a corner, a red door appeared in front of them. Just as Yunchujo was thinking, the exquisite patterns on the red door turned into red poisonous snakes that pounced on Yunchujo and Biming. Chapter 59:28. The red skeleton on its knees. Hundreds of red poisonous snakes stuck out their tongues, revealing their poisonous fangs that glowed with a faint blue light. They hissed and hissed. If it were an ordinary person, this terrifying scene alone would make their scalp go numb and their hands and feet go soft. However, Hei Shinjo was obviously not an ordinary person. She held a large kitchen knife and slashed at those red poisonous snakes. Even if some of the red poisonous snakes bit her, she did not mind. This was because the corpse poison did not harm her at all. As for the wound, how could it be more painful than a lightning strike? She reached out and grabbed one of the red poisonous snakes 7 inches and slammed it hard on the large iron door. She sneered and said, "Bone spirit, don't embarrass yourself in front of me with such petty tricks. If you don't know your place, I will chop this door into pieces." Seeing that Yun Chujo was really going to chop the door, the red skeleton hurriedly opened the red door and the red poisonous snakes disappeared. After the red door was opened, Yun Chujo and Di Baiming were both shocked by what they saw. Unlike the gloomy and scary outside, there was actually a solemn temple inside. 4 black flood dragons were carved on the surrounding stone pillars. The high ceiling of the temple was carved with the sun, moon, and stars. Even the stone slabs on the ground were painted with auspicious clouds. In the center of the temple was an altar with an exquisite jade box placed on it. What was out of place with this temple was a chair carved with dragons and phoenixes, and a red skeleton was squatting on it. Of course, the red skeleton originally wanted to sit on it, but in order to avoid being cleaned up by Hei Shinjo, it decided to crouch on it, so that it could run for its life. "Miss Fairy, we meet again. Are you surprised? Are you surprised?" The red skeleton used its skull to make a flattering expression. Yun Chujo sneered, "Bonehead, have you grown strong? Kneel down. Don't go too far. There is gold under the skeleton's knees, I want." Yun Chujo waved the large kitchen knife in her hand a few times. The red skeleton quickly knelt on the chair and said dryly, "Well, the ground is dirty. Can I kneel on the chair?" Yun Chujo looked at the terrified red skeleton and raised her eyebrows. She had been fooled by it previously. This time, she would not let it get away with it. "Tell me, what are you singing this time?" The red skeleton said pitifully, "This is also one of my clones. Every 100 years, when this place opens, it will summon me. I am not willing to come, but it is my duty. I am so dedicated to my work, so I can only reluctantly come and say a few words." Yun Chujo narrowed her. "It seems that you really have a lot of clones. I have really underestimated you. I did not expect you to have some ability. Just average. There are only a few of them." The red skeleton said proudly. Yun Chujo suddenly thought of a possibility. Her eyes flashed with surprise and anger. However, it disappeared in an instant. She said regretfully, "You are more powerful than the average Qi Ling. However, your clone can only be in the form of a skeleton, right? If you can change into another form, that would be amazing." The red skeleton pouted. "Of course I can. Our Qi Ling doesn't have a fixed form to begin with, so we can transform at will. However, I feel that this kind of bone-like beauty suits me better. Red is also more festive, so I like this appearance the most." Chapter 5929 is all about you, isn't it? Yun Chujo looked at the red skeleton that was showing off, and her voice suddenly turned cold. "The weapon spirits that I met in all kinds of secret realms and all kinds of trial towers were all fucking you, weren't they? What radish spirit, Xiao Hei's frog white steamed bun, and the little skeleton were all your illusions, weren't they?" The red skeleton that was kneeling on the chair almost fell down from the chair and shook its skull desperately. "I don't understand what you're talking about. What radish spirit? What white steamed bun? Can it be eaten?" Seeing its reaction, Yun Chujo immediately confirmed her guess. No wonder the artifact spirits she encountered were all the same stupid and cowardly Qi Ling. After a long time, they were all the same. However, how did it do it? How could it travel through all kinds of divine artifacts and secret realms? Di Baiming, who was standing at the side, was also shocked. Other than the ball of yarn, the other Qi Ling that little Jiao encountered was actually the same Qi Ling? How was this possible? However, the red skeleton's reaction was similar to self-disclosure. What exactly was going on? When the red skeleton saw that Yun Shujo did not say anything, it laughed dryly. Miss Fairy, you came here this time to ask for this jade box, right? Although the red skeleton changed the topic very stiffly, it had to be said that it had diverted Yun Shujia's attention. No matter what, it was more important to get what the pretty boy wanted first. That's right, we are here to take this jade box. Do you want to hand it over to us, or do you want me to snatch it from you? The red skeleton, cough cough, cough cough, Miss Fairy, we are all people who follow the rules and Qi Ling. You can't be so rude. Besides, when this jade box was placed by someone, there was a restriction. If you don't meet the corresponding conditions, the jade box will self-destruct, said the red skeleton. Seeing that it didn't look like it was lying, Yun Shujo asked, what conditions? Blood test. If your blood can make the 4 flood dragons on the jade box swim, the jade box will open automatically. If you can't, I can't help you. The red skeleton tried its best to express its innocence. Yun Shujo snorted. This bone spirit was like Goei Batsao, hiding a lot of things from her. It looked like a coward, but in fact, it was full of schemes. Goei Batsao, who had been implicated and scolded, it was so innocent, so naive, how could such a kind grass be a scheming grass? Framing, this was definitely a blatant frame-up. Yun Shujo looked meaningfully at the kneeling red skeleton, and said to Di Biming, who had been maintaining a protective posture, PR. Since it's something you want, it will definitely recognize your blood. Di Biming nodded, be careful. He gave the red skeleton a warning look, before walking to the altar, and dripping the blood from his middle finger onto the jade box. When the blood landed on the 4 black flood dragons, their eyes trembled slightly, but there was no follow-up reaction. The red skeleton stretched its neck and looked at it, before saying, looks like this thing doesn't belong to you. Miss Fairy, you've seen it too. The flood dragons on the jade box aren't moving, so you can't take this jade box away. So, please go back. Yun Shujo narrowed her eyes and stared at the red skeleton. The red skeleton did not look at her guiltily. What it said was true. If the flood dragon did not move and forcefully took the jade box would self-destruct. It was useless for her to stare at it. Chapter 59:30 The contents of the jade box. Yun Shujo stared at the red skeleton for a long time. Seeing that it did not have the slightest bit of guilt, she knew that at least it was not lying about the jade box. Little Joe, since there is no way to open the jade box, then forget it. Although Di Biming was a little disappointed, he felt that the time was not right. If he could not get it, then he could not get it. The main reason was that he felt that this red skeleton was very strange. Staying here for too long would bring him more trouble. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Although Di Biming said it casually, Yun Shujo knew that he was very concerned about the things inside the jade box. Otherwise, he would not have wasted so much time in the 10 Directions Academy, all for the chance to participate in the 100-year competition. However, this damn jade box had to meet the conditions to be opened. What should she do? Her gaze accidentally fell on the 4 black flood dragons on the stone pillar. These 4 flood dragons seemed familiar. Where had she seen them before? She remembered that she had once found a stone room under Sigua Ju of the Primordial Chaos sect. At that time, there were 4 chains that locked a huge coffin. The 4 chains turned into 4 flood dragons that attacked her. She was attacked until she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her blood turned into bloodlines that spread to the 4 corners of the roof. Only then did the 4 flood dragons turn into nothingness. It seemed that the 4 flood dragons were very similar to the flood dragons on the stone pillar and the flood dragons on the jade box. Why not use her blood to try? Thinking of this, Yun Shujo said to Di Biming, let me try. Maybe I can open it. Before Di Biming could say anything, the red skeleton said, Miss Fairy, don't waste your energy. You already said that this is what he wants to take. Even if you try it, it will be in vain. The red skeleton's words stopped abruptly because when Yun Shuji's blood dripped on the jade box, the 4 flood dragons started to swim quickly. They turned into eyes and flew to the eye sockets of the flood dragons on the stone pillar. The red skeleton was dumbfounded. Oh my, it really worked? Could it be that this jade box was also afraid of evildoers? Yun Shujo and Di Baiming were also very shocked. Di Baiming was afraid that there was some mechanism inside the jade box, so he took a few steps forward and blocked in front of Yun Shujo. The jade box finally opened slowly. When Hei Shinjo saw what was inside, her eyes almost popped out. She saw a red mask inside the jade box. It was exactly the same mask that Sha-Mo had drawn for her on the face of the D. When she saw that there was no danger, she took out the mask. She took a closer look and found that the mask seemed to be an ordinary mask. It was not a spiritual item. She looked at Di Baiming in confusion. Prince Charming, you said that you came to retrieve something very important to you. Could it be this? A certain deity was also confused. His seal had not been completely removed, and his memories were fragmented. However, one thing was certain. This mask was indeed very important to him, but he did not know what the reason was. Seeing that, Yun Shujo stuffed the mask into his hands. Here, since you think this thing is very important, you can keep it. Oh right, I remember that you wore a silver mask when you became the lord of the Yen clan. Could it be that you had some weird fetish in your previous life and liked to collect masks to play with? Xingzun asked Di Baiming. He held the red mask and looked at it, but it did not bring up any related memories. Perhaps it was because his spiritual power was sealed. It was not too late to try it after he got out. Chapter 59-31. The cunning bone spirit. Yun Shujo looked at the red skeleton again. Bone spirit, now that we're done with our business, shouldn't you tell me about yourself? The red skeleton suddenly felt that something was wrong. It said dryly, tell me about what? I'm just a small Qi-ling. Miss Fairy, don't scare me. Yun Shujo snorted coldly. Don't give me that trick. Tell me, why did you travel to all the secret realms and towers to deal with me? Miss Fairy, this is a great injustice. I don't understand what you're saying. Did you misunderstand? The red skeleton said pitifully. Hee, misunderstand? I've never been played so badly by anyone. Bone spirit, today I'll let you see what it means to burn bones and scatter ashes. As Yun Shujo said that, she went to grab the red skeleton. It was unknown what the red skeleton had done, but it had disappeared along with the chair. Yun Shujo was stunned. No wonder this damned bonehead had been sitting on the chair all this time. It turned out that there was another reason. At this moment, the red skeleton's arrogant voice was heard, HMPH. Stinky girl. If it wasn't for the fixed corpse pearl in your hands, you would have died long ago. Today, I admit defeat. Let's wait and see. Just as Yun Shujo was about to grab the large kitchen knife and settle the score with the red skeleton, the entire underground palace started to tremble violently. Cracks appeared on the stone pillars where the 4 flood dragons were. They were actually about to collapse. Di Baiming grabbed Yun Shujo's hand. Little Jiu, let's leave this place first. Yun Shujo stomped her feet unwillingly. This damned bone spirit, she would settle the score with it sooner or later. The two of them hurriedly ran out. Perhaps it was because the underground palace was about to collapse, but the 3 stone doors had already been opened, and the Black Bat and the corpse soldiers and corpse generals had also disappeared without a trace. The two of them exited the bronze door and ran for a long distance before stopping. The two of them only heaved a sigh of relief when they discovered that their spiritual power had already recovered. However, Di Baiming frowned and said, Little Jiu, something seems to be wrong. Yun Shujo looked at him in confusion. What's wrong? What's wrong? If the underground palace really collapsed, the commotion would be huge. However, look at the sand, there's no sign of movement, and the ground doesn't tremble at all. Before Di Baiming could finish his words, Yun Shujo gritted her teeth in realization. This damn bone spirit. It must have used some method to deceive us. It just doesn't want me to continue interrogating it. It's really infuriating. Yun Shijia's depression could be imagined. She had always been the one torturing Qi Ling, but now she realized that she had been fooled by the same Qi Ling. If it weren't for her big heart, she would have vomited blood in anger. She cursed the bone spirit dozens of times and said after she calmed down, "That's not right. Every time I meet Qi Ling, they don't seem to know me very well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be defeated. If they are all bone spirits, how do you explain it?" Di Baiming guessed, maybe those Qi Ling are its clones, but the news can't be transmitted in time. Maybe it's because its strength turned from weak to strong, so the next few times will be more difficult to deal with. Yun Shujio felt that what he said made sense. Anyway, one day, she would interrogate that damn bone spirit, and she would know the truth. She temporarily put this matter aside and took out the little yellow dragon with tears streaming down its face. "Since everything is safe now, I'll return the little yellow dragon to you." Chapter 59-32. Was this mask the Demon Emperor's? The little yellow dragon felt that the time of happiness was too short. It had not even had the chance to say a few words to Sister Peach Blossom before it was sent back to Sha Xing's side. Could it refuse? Di Baiming said indifferently, "When the trial ends, I will leave directly. Let it stay to protect you. Although it's a little useless, it's still a little stronger than your few." The little dragon nodded its head vigorously. Yes, I'm very useful. Can you keep me?" The pleading in the little dragon's eyes was so real that it almost knelt down and kowtowed. Yun Shujio could not help but find it funny. Seeing that Di Baiming insisted, she could only nod. "All right, then I'll keep it for a period of time. I'll return it to you once I've established myself in the Academy of 10 Directions." Di Baiming shot a warning glance at the little yellow dragon, who could not help but be overjoyed. The little yellow dragon immediately became listless and did not dare to show off anymore. Yun Shujio kept the little yellow dragon. She thought of the red mask and said excitedly, "Prince Charming, quick, take out that mask. I will let that old fool Sha Mo recognize it and see if it is the mask of the Devil Emperor." Di Baiming immediately took out the red mask, and He Xingjiu also let Sha Mo out. "Sha Mo, take a look at what this is." He Xingjiu took the red mask from Di Baiming and shook it. Sha Mo's eyes were filled with disbelief, and he knelt down on the ground. The Devil Emperor has unified the 3,000 continents for thousands of generations. Yun Shujio, Di Baiming, did Sha Mo turn stupid after being locked up? Sha Mo was so excited that tears streamed down his face as he said with a trembling voice, "Why do you have the Devil Emperor's mask in your hands? Where is His Majesty the Devil Emperor? Quick, bring me to him, I want to escort him back to the Devil Continent." Yun Shujio played with the red mask in her hands. "Is this mask really your Devil Emperor's?" Sha Mo said excitedly, "Of course it is. I can smell the sacred aura of the Devil Emperor. Quickly tell me, where is the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor?" Yun Shujio blinked her eyes and pointed at Di Baiming. "Here, the mask is his. He is your Devil Emperor." Sha Mo looked at Di Baiming suspiciously. Although this man had an extraordinary appearance, the Devil Emperor in his memory was not like this. Not to mention his figure, his temperament was very different. Moreover, he did not have a red mole between his eyebrows. Sha Mo was too agitated just now. Now that he regained his senses, he looked at the red mask in Yun Shujio's hand. His expression changed as he looked at it. "You stupid girl, you tricked me again. No wonder you asked me for the Devil Emperor's portrait. So you wanted to fake the Devil Emperor's mask to trick me. This is outrageous." Yun Shujio was so angry that she was amused. "Sha Mo, even if you want to deduct the charges against me, can you at least be more reliable? You said it yourself. You smelled the unique aura of the Devil Emperor. Why are you saying that I forged the mask now?" Sha Mo said exasperatedly, "Humph. I don't know what method you used to make this Devil Emperor mask to be tainted with the faint aura of the Devil Emperor, but the real can't be fake, and the fake can't be real. The Devil Emperor mask is a magic tool that is difficult to find even with thousands of gold coins. But the mask in your hand clearly has no magic power at all. It is clearly forged by you. Yunchujo curled her lips. If I wanted to lie to you, why would I need to go through so much trouble? You think too highly of yourself. To tell you the truth, this mask was found in the underground palace. I guess your demon emperor was killed, that's why the mask was put in the jade box. Who is it? Whose jade box is that? I want to fight him to the death. Sha Mo's eyes were red as he said. Chapter 59-33. The Devil Emperor's hardcore fans. Hei Shinjo touched her nose when she saw Sha Mo's crazed look. Why are you so agitated? The owner of the jade box might not be the murderer of your Devil Emperor. Maybe he picked it up. Whether he killed it or not, he must know the cause of death of the Devil Emperor. Tell me, whose jade box is it? Sha Mo said with his red eyes. Hei Xinjia's evil intentions immediately surfaced. She sighed and said, all right, since you insist on asking, I'll tell you. According to the item spirit in the underground palace, the jade box was placed there by the temple master of the Divine Devil Hall. If you want to take revenge, go to the Divine Devil Hall. Qi Ling said, Divine Devil Hall? Good, very good. New and old grudges. One day, I'll wipe out the Divine Devil Hall. Sha Mo said through gritted teeth. New and old grudges? Hei Shinjo blinked her eyes. Sha Mo, you have grudges with the God Devil Temple in the past? Tell me, what exactly happened? What's there to tell? It's just the winner takes all. The God Devil Temple and those old bald donkeys of the 10,000 Buddhas Temple deserve to die. Sha Mo said through gritted teeth. Have you met the Lord of the God Devil Temple? It's said that he seems to be still alive. Do you want to seek revenge on him? By the way, who is he? What does he look like? Hei Shinjo was like a wolf with a big tail. Sha Mo shook his head. The Lord of the Divine Devil Hall is very mysterious. It is said that he is extremely powerful, but no one has ever seen his real face. It is also a coincidence that the Lord of the Divine Devil Hall wears a red mask all day long. Bah! Shameless, he must be imitating our Demon Emperor. Yunchujo was speechless at Sha Mo's brainless fans. After hearing Sha Mo's words, she recalled the murals she had seen in the cave of the human-faced octopus. The main character depicted in the murals was a man wearing a red mask. There were many strange-looking demonic beasts around the man, and the scene was one of eulogies. Thinking of this, she asked, are there some monsters around the Celestial Devil Temple Master? I've heard about it, but I've never seen those monsters. I don't know if they are all dead. Sha Mo said with some schadenfreude. Yunchujia's heart moved, and she asked again, when your Devil Emperor left the Devil Continent, was the celestial race already dead? Not yet. But when we came to find the Demon Emperor, the celestial race was already dead. They must have suffered retribution. Maybe the death of our Demon Emperor is related to the celestial race. Humph. All the races are jealous of the existence of a heaven-defying existence like the. She started to figure out the timeline in her heart, the first generation of the ancient era, the middle generation of the ancient era, the god and demon race, the two families were opposing each other. The last generation of the ancient era, the god and demon race were opposing each other, and the first god and demon war happened. The demon race suffered a great defeat, the appearance of the demon emperor leaving the demon continent, the destruction of the god race. The disappearance of the demon emperor, the great war between the human race and the demon race. When did she and the pretty boy's previous life, the ghost ancestor and the Shengzun of the Yen race, appear? When did they die? Was it before or after the destruction of the celestial race? Was it before or after the great war between humans and demons? Did their deaths have anything to do with these two things? At this thought, she interrupted Sha Mo, who was chattering non-stop, and asked, during the great war between humans and demons, did you ever hear of the Nightmare Lord and the Ghost Ancestor? Chapter 59-34. Do you know him? Sha Mo frowned. I've heard of him, but I heard that he was already dead. Don't worry about this. If what you said is true and His Majesty the Demon Emperor was really killed by the Divine Devil Hall, then the Divine Devil Hall must be looking for His Majesty's reincarnation. We have to find His Majesty before they do. Yun Shujiu ignored him and pondered. It seemed that the timing of her and the pretty boy's death was almost in sync with the destruction of the celestial race and the disappearance of the Demon Emperor. It seemed that they were all related to the Divine Devil Hall. Sha Mo saw that Yun Shujiu ignored him and said angrily, "Did you hear what I said? Since you are also a demon, you should have the consciousness of a demon citizen and help me find His Majesty the Demon Emperor's reincarnation. Poor His Majesty the Demon Emperor must have suffered a lot. In this lowly human continent, he must have suffered a lot of bullying, but I am powerless. I have let His Majesty the Demon Emperor down." Yun Shujiu was speechless. This fiend had most likely been locked up by her for a long time. It was also possible that he had been beaten badly by Buttface and the others. How did he become a chatterbox? Qi Ying was so obedient that he quietly acted like a rabbit every day. Thinking of Qi Ying, Yun Shujiu's heart stirred, and she let Qi Ying out. Qi Ying looked at Yun Shujiu expressionlessly. Previously, he had tried every means to escape, but now, he was disheartened. Qi Ying, is the death of the ghost ancestor and Xingzun related to the destruction of the celestial race and the disappearance of the Demon Emperor? Yun Shujiu did not beat around the bush and asked directly. Qi Ying replied coldly, "I don't know." Qi Ying was already used to being beaten up. He was used to it and did not care. Yun Shujiu narrowed her eyes. "Do you not know or do you not want to tell me? Aren't you afraid that I will teach you a lesson?" Qi Ying sneered, "I am already in this state, what is there to be afraid of? If you want to kill me or cut me up, do as you please." Yun Shujiu saw that Qi Ying looked like he had nothing to live for, so she couldn't do anything to him. However, according to what she knew, Qi Ying went to the 10,000 Ghost Lair later, and he was ostracized in the Divine Devil Hall. She might not know anything. Therefore, Yun Shujiu didn't say anything and put him back into the spirit beast pouch. Sha Mo calmed down a little, and his intelligence finally came online. He rolled his eyes. "You're so concerned about the ghost ancestor and Xingzun, don't tell me you know them?" Yun Shujiu glanced at him. "None of your business." Sha Mo, just as Sha Mo was about to shout, Yun Shujiu directly put him into the spirit beast bag and cut off the spiritual sense connection. Sha Mo was so angry that he almost died. Yun Shujiu told Di Baiming about the time that she had just smoothed out. Then, she said, "Things are getting more and more complicated. We can only slowly search for valuable clues." Di Baiming nodded. When all his seals were broken, he would know the whole truth. He looked at the red mask in Yun Shujiu's hand and frowned. "Little Jiu, don't you think it's strange? Why can't I open the box, but you can? If you don't tell me, I've forgotten about it." "What's so strange about it? We were a couple in my previous life. Isn't it normal for me to leave it with you?" He Xingjiu said indifferently. Di Baiming glanced at her. "Then how did you get the Devil Emperor mask? Could it be that you knew the Devil Emperor back then?" Chapter 59:35. The Red Mask. Thinking of Sha Mo's praise of the Demon Emperor and the fact that his daughter-in-law had a mask that was very important to the Demon Emperor, a certain venerable felt a little sour. He Xingjiu did not know that a certain venerable had already reached a new level due to jealousy. She casually said, "It's not strange that you know me. After all, I'm loved by everyone. Everyone is willing to befriend me." A certain god's face was somewhat cold. "If it was just a simple friendship, why would I give such an important thing to you for safekeeping?" He Xingjiu finally realized that a certain god's tone was somewhat sour. She could not help but laugh and teased, "Prince Charming, aren't you being a little too jealous? This might not even be the case. Maybe the Devil Emperor is you, and this mask is yours. Why else would the Divine Devil Hall be so scheming to kill you?" Even though you don't have a red mole and your body doesn't look like yours, who said that after reincarnation, you have to look the same as your previous life? A certain being couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed, and said dryly, after the seal was broken, from the scattered images I saw, I'm definitely not the demon emperor. In that case, I think that Wu Ji's head is a little similar. After all, no normal person likes skulls and things like that. Even if it's a fake skull, it still has to have that evil taste. Bring the mask to him to have a look. Perhaps he will be able to remember something. Hei Xinjiu said as she handed the mask in her hand to Di Biming. However, no one expected that the mask actually slipped into the sand and disappeared in an instant. Hei Xinjiu was stunned at first and then began to dig the sand. The mask was very important. If it was lost, she would be so depressed that she would vomit blood. Di Biming did not expect such a turn of events and quickly helped to dig the sand. However, there was a large area of sand here. How could he find it? Yun Chujiu even let Xiao Hei out to search, but after searching for a long time, she could not even find the shadow of the mask. Hei Xinjiu sat on the ground dispiritedly and said angrily, I'm so angry. This damn mask must have been pretending to be dead. From this, it seems that the Devil Emperor is not a good person. Di Biming could only comfort her, maybe the mask has already gone to find the reincarnation of the Devil Emperor. Maybe it's a good thing. Hei Xinjiu could not help but have a headache. If Sha Mo knew that she had lost the Devil Emperor's mask, he would probably fight with her to the death. She must not let him know about this. After all this, there were only 2 days left until the end of. Yun Chujiu and Di Biming discussed and decided to leave this desert first in case anything went wrong. Hence, the two of them took a short break before they left. After they left, a red mask emerged from the sand. The red light on the mask flickered as it burrowed into the sand once again. Yun Chujiu was walking when she fell. This guy was stunned. She was a bit useless, but she shouldn't have fallen while walking, right? Fortunately, the sand didn't hurt her, but how did she fall? She looked down and her eyes widened. It was the red mask beside her feet. She was afraid that the red mask would disappear again, so she quickly grabbed it and shouted, Prince Charming, why is this thing here? Di Biming was also puzzled, but it was always a good thing to find it. Here, Prince Charming, take it this time. Don't let it slip away again. Yun Chujiu reached out her hand to pass the red mask to Di Biming, but the red mask slipped into the sand again. Chapter 59-36, Are You the Devil Emperor? Hei Xinjiu and a certain deity had no choice but to dig the sand again. After digging for a while, they still could not find the red mask. In the end, not long after they walked out, Hei Xinjiu was tripped by the red mask again. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she was about to puke. She grabbed the red mask and said angrily, If you dare to run again, I'll chop you into pieces. Di Biming was deep in thought and said, Little Jiu, I think the red mask wants to stay with you. It doesn't want to be taken away by me. It wants to stay with me? Why does it want to stay with me? Yun Chujiu was confused. Di Biming looked at Yun Chujiu deeply and said with uncertainty, Little Jiu, tell me, do you think you are the Devil Emperor? Yun Chujiu was stunned at first, then she laughed out loud, Prince Charming, don't tease me anymore. Am the Devil Emperor? Sha Mo said that the Devil Emperor is a man. Am I a real beauty? There are many ways to make people misidentify their gender in this world, and this is not a difficult thing. The figure in the portrait is very similar to you. Back then, the ghost ancestor appeared out of thin air. If you can contract with the devil god, it means that you are very likely a devil. Also, this mask clearly wants to stay by your side, so you are very likely to be the demon emperor. Hei Xinjiu was somewhat moved by Di Biming's words. She blinked her eyes and said, But I don't have a red mole. Have you forgotten? When you were in the ghost domain, you had a red mole between your eyebrows. Yun Chujiu was stunned. When she was in the ghost domain, she indeed had a red mole, but it was formed by a drifter and not a real red mole. Was she really the Devil Emperor? This guy blinked his eyes and let Sha Mo out. Sha Mo snorted and said unhappily, "What do you want now? How dare you? Kneel down when you see me here." Hey Shinjo said pretentiously. Sha Mo was stunned at first, then rolled his eyes. Are you crazy? Yun Shujo, this guy simply put the mask on his face and pretended to be serious. Sha Mo, I won't hide it from you now. Actually, the Devil Emperor. Sha Mo saw Yun Shujo put on the red mask and was slightly dazed. Then, he showed an extremely angry expression. Stupid girl. You're shameless. You've gone too far. You dare to defile our Emperor's mask. Take it off. Did you wear this mask too? Are you worthy? Take it off. Yun Shujo took off the mask and sighed. Sha Mo, I'm really the Devil Emperor. Don't you think that my figure is very similar to your Devil Emperor? Moreover, don't you think it's strange that I can contract you? Also, this mask shamelessly insisted on following me. Doesn't this mean that I'm the Devil Emperor? Sha Mo sneered, our demon emp. You little girl, you still think you can admit it? What wishful thinking. What's so strange about you being able to contract me? As long as you're a demon, you can sign a demon god contract. This can only mean that you're a demon. Also, the mask shamelessly followed you? Don't flatter yourself. The mask clearly can't bear to part with me. Because among the three of us, only I have the strongest demon race aura. Yun Shujo was speechless when she heard that. What Sha Mo said made sense. Could it be that the person the mask couldn't bear to part with was actually Sha Mo? That's right. She is already the ghost ancestor and demon ancestor. She shouldn't be the demon emperor. If not, how would others live when she is so outstanding? Chapter 59-37 You are not the demon emperor. Sha Mo saw that Yun Shujo was silent, and his tone softened a little. Stop dreaming. I'll tell you the truth. You don't have the unique aura of the demon emperor, so it's impossible for you to be the demon emperor. Your top priority is to help me find the reincarnation of the demon emperor. When we reach the demon continent, it'll help you get close to the heavenly demon clan. I will give you a chance to practice the supreme devil scripture so that you can get rid of the corpse chi in your body. The unique aura of the devil emperor? Are you saying that the reincarnation of the devil emperor has a special aura? Yun Shujo blinked her eyes and asked. That's right. Otherwise, if every Tom, Dick and Harry would come and pretend to be the reincarnation of the devil emperor, wouldn't it be chaotic? Sha Mo said in a bad mood. Yun Shujo thought for a moment. It seemed that she was not the devil emperor. There was nothing to be disappointed about. She had never thought that she was the devil emperor. Di Baiming had originally suspected that Yun Shujo was the devil emperor. Now that he heard Sha Mo's words, he dispelled his thoughts and said, Sha Mo, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you can't take the mask away. If there's a chance, I'll get Shue Wuji to come over. Get Sha Mo to identify you. Sha Mo immediately became excited. Have you found the reincarnation of the demon emperor? Yun Shujo glared at him. Don't be too happy yet. Wu Ji's head doesn't look like the figure you drew, and he doesn't have a red mole between his brows. Sha Mo said dryly, maybe His Majesty has changed his appearance after his reincarnation. It doesn't matter. Yun Shujo directly put him back into the spirit beast pouch. She looked at the red mask in her hand and threw it into the spirit beast pouch as well. This time, the red mask did not slip away. It seemed that he really could not bear to part with that old fool Sha Mo. After Yun Shujo and Di Baiming left the desert, Di Baiming said, in order to create the illusion that I have disappeared in the ruins of miracles, we will temporarily separate. After the trial ends, I will take the opportunity to leave. You have to be more careful in the 10 Directions Academy. Don't worry. If not, I still have the little grasshopper, Director Xiaofu, to protect me. Moreover, I will soon take in 2 masters as my backers. No one can bully me. Yun Shujiu said with a smile. Speaking of taking in her master, He Xinjiu then remembered that she had to get into the top 10 of the trial. However, she was not worried. Di Baiming was going to take the opportunity to disappear anyway. She would be able to get into the top 10 by keeping his Mirage Pearl. Di Baiming reminded her again, and then disappeared in a flash. Although He Xinjiu was a little sad about leaving, she was already prepared for this. She did not feel too much about it. She took out a fruit and started munching on it. Sigh, only food can heal the trauma in the heart. This guy ate a few fruits. Just as he was thinking about where to go on the skeleton tiger, a group of people walked over from afar. She focused her eyes and saw that the enemy's paths were narrow. It was actually Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianxiao. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianxiao saw that Yun Shujiu was actually alone, so they quickly exchanged glances and then quickly walked over. Yun Shujiu's eyes flashed and revealed an absent-minded look. Xiao Lianxiao sneered, "Tisk tsk, Yan Qingqing, where's Beiyu? Could it be that he thinks you're too useless and left you alone? And that lackey, Ding Wenru, could it be that she was bitten to death by a demonic beast?" Yun Shujiu looked as if she was angered. "None of your business. Do you want to fight? Come on, I'll kill you." Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that her face turned red. "Yan Qingqing, you're courting death." She was about to make a move, but she didn't expect to hear a shout from afar, "Stop." Chapter 59:38. Beiyu has disappeared. Xiao Lianxiao and the others turned their heads and saw a man walking over from afar. His face was extremely handsome, and the faint gloominess between his brows not only did not damage his charm, but it made people want to immerse themselves in it. Xiao Lianxiao frowned. "Bai Yuechen, isn't this your cousin Lan Luochen? Why is he meddling in our business? Could it be that he wants to go against you?" Bai Yuechen's expression was very ugly. Previously, he took the initiative to provoke Lan Luochen, but he was beaten so badly by Lan Luochen that it was unbearable to look at. He had lost all face. He came at the right time. He did not believe that the combined strength of 5 people would not be able to kill this wild bastard. He Xinjiu secretly complained in her heart. Why did the blue dregs come? No, later she had to find an opportunity to escape so that the blue dregs would not see through her identity. While everyone had their own thoughts, Lan Luochen had already walked in front of everyone. Bai Yuechen took a step forward and said coldly, "What are you doing here? However, you came at the right time. Today is the day you die." Lan Luochen did not even look at Bai Yuechen. His gaze landed on Yun Shujiu, and his scrutinizing gaze made He Xinjiu's scalp go numb. However, there was no flaw on his face. He looked at Lan Luochen in confusion. Lan Luochen frowned slightly. For a moment, he was not sure about his own guess. Bai Yuechen saw that Lan Luochen ignored him and became even angrier. He slapped Lan Luochen's chest. Lan Luochen easily avoided his attack. His voice was somewhat cold. "I once promised grandfather that I wouldn't kill you. However, if you continue to be untactful, then I can only go and apologize to grandfather." Bai Yuechen heard his words and was both embarrassed and angry. However, he also knew that his cultivation level was far inferior to Lan Luochen's. He looked at Nangong Li and the others and said, "Everyone, let's attack together. As long as we kill this Lan Luochen, I, Bai Yuechen, will owe you a favor." Nangong Li and the others looked at each other. Killing Lan Luochen was beneficial to them, but not harmful. After all, the Bai family was the one who suffered the loss, so they couldn't ask for more. Just when both sides were at daggers drawn, someone ran over from afar. Qingcheng. The people who came were Ding Wenru, Nangong Shi, and Jiang Shuangli. The 3 of them were worried about Yun Shujiu and Di Baiming's safety, so they had been waiting in this area. They were naturally very happy to see Yun Shujiu safe and sound. Ding Wenru ran to Yun Shujiu. Seeing that she did not look well, she asked with concern, Qingqing, what happened to you? Did Yun Shijia's tears immediately fell one by one. She hugged Ding Wenru and cried, Sister Ding, Bei Yu is missing. Sister Ding, Bei Yu is missing. Bei Yu is missing. Something must have happened to him. Sob, I don't want to live anymore. What? Bei Yu is missing? Everyone was stunned. Could he be dead? Xiao Lianxiao immediately said angrily, Yan Qingqing, what nonsense are you talking about? What happened to Bei Yu? Jian Zhuyu, who was at the side, also looked anxious. How did he go missing? Yun Shujiu pointed at the desert behind her. He said that the demonic beasts outside did not pose any challenge to him and insisted on going into the desert. He asked me to wait for him here, but it's already been a few days, and he still hasn't come out. Could something have happened? Woo, you guys came at the right time, let's go in and look for him. Jian Zhuyu, Xiao Lianxiao, don't you guys also like Northern Yu? Since that's the case, you guys can go in and look for Northern Yu with me. Chapter 5939 turned out to be fake. Ding Wenru was confused. Didn't the two of them enter the desert together? How did it become this way again? However, she still cooperated and put on a surprised expression. Is what you said true? Then let's go and take a look quickly. Don't really get into danger. Although Nangong Shi and Zhang Shuangli were as confused as Ding Wenru, they still cooperated and said, let's not delay. Well, go in and take a look now. Yun Shujiu nodded and looked at Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianxiao, who had a conflicted expression on their faces. Come with me. Although we usually have conflicts, it's more important to find Brother Bei Yu now. Jian Zhuyu's eyes flashed. The desert was extremely dangerous. Bei Yu had not returned for a few days, so he was most likely dead. Since he was already dead, there was no need to risk going into the desert. Even Bei Yu had lost his life. If she went in, wouldn't she be in danger? Xiao Lianxiao had the same thoughts as her. It was fine if it was a normal place, but the desert before her was extremely dangerous. Going in was no different from sending herself to her death. Besides, wasn't Bei Yu blind to have taken a liking to this Yan Qingqing? Then why should she risk her life to save him? Yun Shujiu saw that the two of them did not say anything and revealed an angry and incredulous expression. You, what do you mean by this? Didn't you say that you were so sincere and deep in love with Bei Yu? So it was all fake. You two hypocritical women. Sister Ding, let's go in. Brother Bei Yu is mine. If others don't save him, I'll save him. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianqiao's faces immediately turned red. Jian Zhuyu explained, it's not that we don't want to save Bei Yu, but a few days have passed. The desert is so dangerous, and there's a high chance that Bei Yu is already dead. If that's the case, why should we take the risk? Hearing her words, Xiao Lianxiao immediately felt confident. Right. Bei Yu might have already met with an accident. It's not worth risking our lives. Moreover, there are still 4 hours before the trial ends. If Bei Yu is fine, he will naturally be sent out. We don't need to take the risk. Yun Shijia's face was full of ridicule. You don't have to say so much to me. In the end, your love is fake and conditional. To think that you still have the face to compete with me for Bei Yu. Sister Ding, let's go. Yun Shujiu said and turned into the desert. Ding Wenru, Nangong Shi and Zhang Shuangli followed, also into the desert. Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Lianxiao looked very ugly. It would be best if the 4 of them also died in the desert. Bai Yuchen's attention was not on Yun Shujiu and the others. He had been staring at Lan Luochen. Now that Yun Shujiu and the others had left, he said viciously, everyone, since Bei Yu is already dead, we don't need to worry about him anymore. Help me kill this bastard first. As soon as Bai Yuchen finished speaking, before Jian Zhuyu and the others could react, Lan Luochen had already grabbed his neck. Lan Luochen used a little force, and Bai Yuchen's face turned red. His eyes bulged slightly, and he looked like he was about to die. Jian Zhuyu and the others couldn't help him, so they could only shout at the side. Just when they thought that Lan Luochen would really strangle Bai Yuechen, Lan Luochen let go of Bai Yuechen and said coldly, "Bai Yuechen, this is the last time. If you mess with me again, you have no reason to live." Chapter 59-40, Beiyu is dead? After Lan Luochen finished speaking, his gloomy eyes swept over Jian Zhuyu and the others before he left. Jian Zhuyu and the others did not dare to move. In that instant just now, a great fear rose in their hearts. It was as if in front of Lan Luochen, they were like ants that were at the mercy of others. Bai Yuechen coughed violently. It was not easy for him to catch his breath. He stared at Lan Luochen's back with his red eyes, his expression ferocious. On the other side, He Xinjiu brought Ding Wenru and the other two into the desert. However, they did not go deep into the desert. They only walked around the edge of the desert. "Qingsheng, did something really happen to Beiyu?" Ding Wenru asked with concern. Yun Shujiu shook her head. "I don't know either. In any case, he has gone missing." Ding Wenru naturally did not believe her nonsense, but it was not appropriate for her to ask. Yun Shujiu took out the corpse of a demon beast from the desert and smeared the blood on the four of them. Then, she said, "We've been attacked by a demon beast. It's too scary. Let's run out quickly." After saying that, Yun Shujiu turned around and ran back. As she ran, she shouted, "Help! Help!" Ding Wenru and the other two, Jian Zhuyu and the others heard the cries for help from afar. They looked at each other and ran in the opposite direction. They had no obligation to save Yan Qingsheng and the others. It would be better if they died. Therefore, when Yun Shujiu and the others ran out, the original place was already empty. Yun Shujiu pursed her lips. It was effortless for her to deceive these idiots. After a while, it was time for the trial to end. The people who participated in the trial were all bounced out of the ruins of miracles. President Gu of the 10 Directions Academy, President Yu of the Divine Enlightenment Academy, and the others were all waiting anxiously, hoping that their students would get good results. Therefore, as soon as the students were sent out, there were people who counted the number of fantasy beads each of them had obtained. At the same time, they asked expectantly if anyone had gotten lucky. The students shook their heads, indicating that they had not encountered any opportunities. President Gu and the others were disappointed but also puzzled. It didn't make sense. Every time they participated in the trial of the ruins of God, there would always be students who obtained opportunities. Why didn't there be any this time? He Xinjiu pursed her lips in her heart. Of course there wouldn't be any. That damned bone spirit had spent all her energy on dealing with her, so how could she have the leisure to set up any opera? Sooner or later, she would grind that damnable bone spirit into powder and turn it into a little bastard. While cursing the bone spirit in his heart, this fellow pretended to be anxious as he looked around. He didn't see Di Baiming's figure. He must have used some method to escape. This fellow immediately ran in front of President Gu and howled, "President, President, Big Brother Beiyu didn't come out. Open the ruins of God's miracle again. I want to go in and find him." "What did you say? Beiyu didn't come out?" The president looked around and indeed didn't see Beiyu. His heart immediately sank. Did something happen to Beiyu? At this time, Ding Wenru stepped forward and added, "President, Beiyu didn't come out after entering the desert in the ruins of Miracle. I'm afraid he's already." He Xinjia's howl became even more tragic. It was heartbreaking to hear and tearful to hear. President Gus' head buzzed. Beiyu was the top student of the 10 Directions Academy. How could he be killed? Chancellor Ren and the others were also shocked. After carefully counting the number of people, they finally confirmed that Beiyu did not come out. They were basically certain that he was already dead. That was because only the dead could not be sent out. Chapter 59-41, results after the chaos, everyone could only accept the fact that the number one genius of the 10-Directional Academy, Beiyu, had died. Hei Shinjo was so heartbroken that she cried and fainted. President Gu shook his head and sighed. He never thought that Beiyu would die in this trial. This was a great loss to the 10-Directional Academy. The people of the Divine Enlightenment Academy were gloating. With Beiyu's death, Lan Luochen of the Divine Enlightenment Academy was the one with the highest cultivation and the highest talent. If they were to draw a spiritual power competition, the 10-Directional Academy would definitely lose. Although they were sad, they still had to do what needed to be done. Soon, the statistics of the number of fantasy beads were completed. Looking at the results, President Gu and the others' faces turned even uglier. Among the top 50, there were only 15 students from the 10 Directions Academy. The first place went to Lan Luochen from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. He had obtained 20 more illusion color beads than Nangong Shi, who was in second place. This was because Ding Wenru had given Nangong Shi a portion of her illusion color beads. Otherwise, the difference would be even greater. President Yu from the Divine Enlightenment Academy was beaming. He smiled and said to President Gu, "President Gu, our results this time are better. Sorry for making a fool of ourselves." President Gu was so angry that he was twitching. He knew that President Yu was saying this on purpose to anger him. He was in a very bad mood right now, so he was not in the mood to bicker with him. He said lightly, "The price of a soldier is the essence, not the quantity." President Yu pursed his lips in his heart. Just die and keep your mouth shut. The most outstanding Beiyu was already dead. The Divine Enlightenment Academy would definitely win this 100-year tournament. At this moment, someone behind them said weakly, "President Gu, I haven't handed in my fantasy pearl yet." President Gu turned around and saw the haggard-looking Yan Qingqing speaking. He said perfunctorily, "Since you haven't handed it in, then go over and hand it in." He had already seen Ding Wenru's results. Although she was not at the bottom, she was not able to enter the top 50 either. He estimated that Yan Qingchang's results should be about the same as hers. However, he soon heard the clamor of the crowd, "Oh my god, this Yan Qingqing actually became first place. Her cultivation is so low, how could she obtain so many fantasy beads? It must have been given to her by Beiyu. Maybe Beiyu took the risk to enter the desert to find the fantasy beads for her. It's all because of this mischievous person who killed Beiyu. Yuri. She must have forced him to do it." Ding Wenru was furious. She saw that the few people who fanned the flames were people who were on good terms with Jian Zhuyu. They must have been instigated by her. How shameless. She looked at Yun Chujio worriedly, only to see her crying silently and not saying a word. Ding Wenru secretly rolled her eyes. If she had not known this fellow all along, she would have thought that she had suffered a huge blow and had nothing left to live for. President Gus' mood was a little complicated. The first place belonged to the 10 Directions Academy, which was naturally something to celebrate. However, the first place belonged to a trash like Yan Qingqing, which was really unbelievable. President Ye's face froze for a moment, but then he thought about it. Yan Qingcheng's cultivation was so low that it wouldn't matter even if she won the first place. Moreover, the number of fantasy beads was used to calculate the results. The students' results added up corresponded to the Academy's results in the first round. The Divine Enlightenment Academy was far ahead in the first round. As long as there were no major mistakes in the second round, the first place in the 100-year grand competition would still belong to the Divine Enlightenment Academy. Therefore, he smiled and said, "President Gu, congratulations. Since the first round of the competition has ended, let's draw the second round of the competition." Chapter 59-42. I want to see my master city. Lord Murong had already prepared the items for the drawing of lots. 6 balls were placed in a black jar. The jar and the balls were made of materials that could isolate spiritual sense, in case someone cheated. The decibel of the 6 balls were written with spiritual power, artifact refining, pill refining, array formation, beast taming, and talisman making. President Gu and President Yu each drew one, City Lord Murong drew one. The 3 items drawn were used as the second round of the competition. President Gu prayed to the gods and Buddhas in his heart. He must not draw the spiritual power item. Once Beiyu died, no one from the 10 Directions Academy would be a match for Lan Luochen. However, what he was afraid of came true. The ball in his hand had 2 big words written on it, spiritual power. President Gu could not help but smile bitterly. It seemed like the 10 Directions Academy was going to lose the 100-year competition again. After losing the last 100-year competition, the 2 people at the back of the mountain scolded him so much that they almost beat him up. This time, it was likely that they would not be able to escape this calamity. He turned his head and saw that President Yu had drawn the pill refinement while City Lord Murong had drawn the talisman refinement. President Gus's smile became even more bitter. These 2 items were not the strong points of the 10 Directional Academy either. It was like adding insult to injury. President Yu was in a very good mood. He felt that he had already won the 100-year competition. How could he not be happy? President Gu, I am looking forward to the second round of the competition tomorrow. It will be very exciting. It will not be in vain for so many people to come and watch the ceremony, President Yu said with a smile. President Gu squeezed out a smile and said, yes, I am also looking forward to it. At the thought of embarrassing himself in front of all the major forces and being scolded by the 2 Grand Elders, President Gu could not live with himself anymore. He said a few words of courtesy perfunctorily and brought the people from the 10 Directions Academy back to their quarters. He paced back and forth in the room with a gloomy face. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that there was no chance of winning this 100-year competition. It would be great if nothing happened to the Northern Army. Sigh. At this moment, a guard came to report, President, Enchanting requests to see you. President Gu was in a bad mood, but he did not want to see her. Thinking about how Beiyu had just died, this little girl was really pitiful. He sighed and said, let her in. A moment later, Hei Shinjo, whose face was pale and her EY. Before she could say anything, she began to cry. President Gu was upset by her crying, so he couldn't say anything harsh. He could only comfort her, the world is unpredictable. Besides, the path of cultivation is full of dangers. Don't be too sad. Yun Shujo wiped her tears and sobbed, President, I want to see my master. I want my master to find a way to save Beiyu. Beiyu is definitely not dead. President Gu, he had forgotten about this. Back then, he had said that as long as Yan Qingqing entered the top 10, he would let her meet the 2 Grand Elders. Now that she had brought up this matter, wasn't it just adding to the mess? He said perfunctorily, the ruins of God's miracle opens once every 100 years. Even the 2 Grand Elders can't do anything about it. Give up on that thought. President Gu, you must be lying to me. My master will definitely have a way. I get it. You just don't want me to see them, right? Are you trying to intercept Hewer because of my outstanding talent and take me in as a disciple before they do? President Gu, this guy had reached a new level of shamelessness. How blind was he to want to take her in as a disciple? Chapter 5943's aptitude was average. President Gu took a deep breath and said, Yan Qingqing, it's not that I'm lying to you. The 2 Grand Elders are so elusive that I can't see them for the time being. Woo woo woo, woo woo woo, even if I can contact them, the 2 Grand Elders might not be willing to see you. Woo woo woo, woo woo woo, President Gu was frustrated by Hei Xinjia's crying. He shouted, all right, stop crying. I will tell the 2 Grand Elders if I see them, but I don't care if they see you or not. Hei Xinjia's crying stopped abruptly. Really? You are not lying to me? President Gu replied snappily, of course it's true. It's getting late. You should go back now. Hei Shinjo wiped her tears and left. Before she left, she said seriously, President, you have to keep your word. You will be struck by lightning if you lie. President Gu, he felt that he had been extremely unlucky recently. One thing after another, he was really depressed. While he was thinking, the door was pushed open again. He thought that it was Yun Chuzhou who had come back, so he snapped, "Why did you come back again? Didn't I already promise you? You little bastard, who are you talking to?" President Gus' head buzzed. He looked up and saw that it was the two grand elders who had come in. President Gu complained in his heart, "Why are these two ancestors here? They must be here to punish us. It's over, I'm going to be scolded again." The short elder pointed at President Gus' nose and scolded, "I heard from that old geezer Qi Chen that after the first round, the Divine Enlightenment Academy had a lot of points ahead of our 10 Directions Academy. Is that true?" President Gu shrunk his neck and explained, "It's mainly because one of our most talented students has fallen. Otherwise, we would have more points than them. Stop talking about those useless things. What I want is the result, not the process. In the second round of the competition, what did you draw? Are you confident that you can surpass them?" President Gu did not dare to lie. He braced himself and said, "In the second round, we are at an even greater disadvantage. Not to mention surpassing them, I'm afraid we will fall even more." The short elder was obviously very angry. He kicked the coffee table to pieces. "Trash. Trash. All of you are trash. What use do we have for you? Qi Chen, that old brat, is going to mock us for 100 years again. If we had known this would happen, our primal institution would have taken in a few students. No matter how bad they are, they would still be better than this bunch of trash under our guidance." President Gu had suffered a lot today. After being reprimanded by the short elder, he felt a little uncomfortable and blurted out, "There are already students available. Why don't you give it a try?" President Gu also said it and regretted it. However, it was impossible to take back what was done. When he thought of Yun Chuzhou's crying appearance, he decided to make up his mind. Since it was already like this, there was no need for him to continue scolding her. The two old men were stunned. The short old man frowned. "What do you mean?" "The primal region took in 2 students by accident this year. Because of their average aptitude, I didn't dare to tell you too," President Gu said as he braced himself. The two old men had complicated expressions. Although they were unhappy that they had been hidden, they were happy when they thought that the primal region had a successor. To be honest, they had regretted it a long time ago. Back then, they had set the requirements too high, to the point that they had no successor even though they had the ability. However, due to their pride, they could not go back on their words. Now that they heard that the prehistoric branch had a student, they were naturally a little happy. Chapter 59-44, Little Trash. As for what President Gu said about average aptitude, the two old men's understanding was a little off. They thought that it was because there was a gap between their requirements, but it should still be a high-quality aptitude. The short old man snorted coldly. "You're getting bolder and bolder. However, since you've already accepted them, then let us see them." President Gu did not expect things to go so smoothly. However, when he thought of the two only students from the primeval branch, he muttered, "Their aptitudes are really average. Please be mentally prepared, seniors." The two elders did not think much of it. If their aptitudes were really poor, how could they be qualified to participate in the 100-year grand competition? This little Gu Zi had learned to be humble. Seeing that the two of them took it to heart, President Gu did not say much. Anyway, when they met later, they would understand whether what he said was true or not. President Gu immediately asked someone to call Yun Chuzhou and Ding Wenru over, but he did not say what it was about. Ding Wenru was confused. "Qingsheng, what did the president ask us to do? Could it be that he wants to ask about Beiyu?" Yun Chuzhou vaguely guessed a little, blinked her eyes and said, "No matter what happens later, just follow my instructions." Ding Wenru naturally had no objections. She had the intention to cling on to her thigh. The two of them soon arrived at the temporary courtyard where President Gu was staying. After getting permission, they entered the study room. They saw President Gu standing respectfully at the side. Two old men sat on the chairs. One was tall and the other was short. They had white hair and a youthful face. They looked like masters. The eyes of the two old men fell on Yun Shujiu and Ding Wenru. Their faces were dumbfounded. Even in their dreams, they had never thought that the average aptitude that President Gu mentioned would be so average. One was at the 8th level of the Divine Revelation realm, and the other was at the 1st level of the Divine Summoning realm. What kind of joke was this? Qingxing pays her respects to the two masters. He Xinjiu quickly saluted, and it was as smooth as flowing water. Ding Wenru was dumbfounded. However, when she remembered what Yun Shujiu had told her before, she quickly saluted, but she did not dare to call them masters. Instead, she said, Ding Wenru pays her respects to the two seniors. The short old man was stunned for a moment. He pointed at Yun Shujiu and Ding Wenru and shouted at President Gu, "Is this the average aptitude you said? These are clearly two good-for-nothings. You actually took in two good-for-nothings without telling us. You are really audacious. Today, I must." President Gu had long expected this. He smiled bitterly and did not explain himself. Instead, he lowered his head and waited to be beaten. At this moment, he heard a sneer. The short old man looked towards the source of the sound. Seeing that it was Yun Shujiu who was laughing, he said angrily, "Little trash, what are you laughing at?" "Laughing at people who are laughing at funny things." Yun Shujiu snorted and said. President Gu immediately scolded, "Yan Qingxing, don't be rude. Hurry up and apologize to the two grand elders." Yun Shujiu acted as if she did not hear him. She looked at the short old man provocatively with her red and swollen eyes. The short old man had always been able to do whatever he wanted. He was naturally furious when he was reprimanded by Yun Shujiu. He released a terrifying pressure, wanting to teach Yun Shujiu a lesson. Under the immense pressure, Ding Wenru fell to her knees. She did not want to kneel, but she could not withstand such a strong pressure. Even President Gu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Although Yun Shujiu's body was trembling, she straightened her back and stared fearlessly at the short old man. Chapter 59-45, You are an old trash. In fact, the short old man's pressure did not pose any threat to He Xinjiu. However, in order to not appear too abrupt, he pretended to be stubborn. The short old man gasped. He did not expect this little trash to have a bit of backbone and tenacity. He was actually able to resist his pressure. The short old man withdrew his pressure and sized up Yun Shujiu with an unfriendly gaze. No matter how he looked at it, she was still trash. He snorted coldly, "Little trash, tell me, who is the laughable person? What is the laughable thing?" President Gu kept signaling He Xinjiu with his eyes, telling her not to spout nonsense. Otherwise, he would not be able to protect her. Yun Shujiu acted as if she did not see it and laughed lightly, "The laughable person is naturally you. The laughable thing was naturally done by you." President Gu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This Yan Qingxing was really courting death. He hurriedly said to the short old man, "Senior, please don't be angry. This Yan Qingxing is spouting nonsense because her beloved has died. Please don't lower yourself to her level." The short old man glared fiercely at President Gu. President Gu shrunk his neck and did not dare to make a sound. The short old man narrowed his eyes. "Tell me, how am I funny? What funny thing did I do? If you can't convince me, I'll slap you to death." Ding Wenru looked at Yun Shujiu worriedly. She prayed in her heart that Yun Shujiu could come up with a fallacy. Otherwise, she would not be able to recover. However, Yun Shujiu did not seem to feel the killing intent of the short old man. She still looked indifferent and asked instead of answering, "You two are both lecturers from the prehistoric institution, right?" The short old man snorted coldly. Of course. Since you too are lecturers from the prehistoric institution, then you should have the self-awareness of being a teacher. Although Ding Wenru and I are not very talented, we are serious students from the prehistoric institution. As the saying goes, there is no discrimination in teaching. Yet, you keep calling us little trash. Is this what a teacher should look like? Just as the short old man was about to interject, Yun Chujio raised her voice and continued, "What's even funnier is that because of your narrow-mindedness, the primal chaos branch has been abandoned for thousands of years. You are the sinners of the primal chaos branch. Don't use the lack of qualified students as an excuse. This is clearly a cover for your laziness and vanity. Because of your inaction, the primal chaos branch has completely declined. As a result, its courtyard and belongings have been taken away by other branches. Because of your selfishness, the 10 Directions Academy had lost more than they had won in the last few hundred-year competitions. How could you still have the face to scold President Gu here? How could you still have the right to call me a little trash? If I am a little trash, you are an old trash." The short old man's face flushed red, and he nearly fainted from anger. He raised his hand and was about to slap Yun Chujio. How outrageous. This little brat was courting death. You want to beat me to death? Come on, I don't want to live anymore anyway. You caused the Primeval Sub-Academy to lose its inheritance. When I go underground and meet the ancestors of the Primeval Sub-Academy, I'll tell them about you. Let's see how you'll have the face to meet them in the future." The short old man was so angry that he was twitching. However, he couldn't keep his hand down. Although this wretched girl was detestable, what she said made some sense. In fact, he had regretted it a long time ago. However, because he had said too much back then, he had been hiding in the back mountain to cultivate due to his pride. As a result, the Primal Region branch had completely declined. Chapter 59-46 Red-Eyed Little White Rabbit. The short old man glared at Hei Shinjo. It seemed unreasonable to slap her, but if he took it back, where would he put his face? At this moment, the little girl who had been arguing with him just now actually cried. "Woo woo woo, master, I didn't mean to anger you. I was really wronged. You don't know that Ding Wenru and I have been ostracized by the other branches and suffered a lot of humiliation. Therefore, when I found out that I had a master, I was so happy that I almost went crazy. However, you called me a piece of trash and looked at me with disdain. That's why I spoke rudely. You won't be angry with me, will you? You will definitely forgive me, won't you?" The short old man was obviously dumbfounded by Hei Xinjia's sudden change in style. He was just as angry as a little lion, but now he had become a red-eyed rabbit. His hand that was suspended in the air immediately turned around and pointed at President Gu as he scolded, "Is what the little trash said true? The students of the Primeval Institution were bullied to such a state, yet you ignored them. What's the point of having you? President Gu, what did he do wrong? Why was he the one who was scolded in the end? Besides, didn't you not admit that they were the students of your prehistoric branch? Why are you standing up for them now? What kind of show is this?" When the short old man saw that President Gu didn't say anything, he scolded even more vigorously. "Say something. Do you think that we two old bones are useless, so you let the other branches bully the prehistoric branch? No matter how stupid they are still students of our primeval branch. How can they allow others to bully them? Little trash, tell me how they bullied you." Hei Shinjo said in tears, "Our territory has been occupied by them, and they only left us a small courtyard. Previously, they had to occupy half of this small courtyard. If it were not for my desperate struggle, I'm afraid that the primeval branch would only have a plaque left. Also, the gate of our prehistoric institution has been splashed with dog blood and a lot of dirty things. The gate is in a mess, and they even blocked the gate to scold us. That's not all. They even said that the people of the prehistoric institution are all dead, and they are all useless." Seeing that Yun Chujio was getting more and more unreasonable, President Gu glared at her with a warning. The short old man happened to see it, so he immediately slapped President Gu and pushed him. Why are you staring? You bastard. Little trash, continue talking. I want to hear how these bastards are bullying our prehistoric branch. President Gu was so depressed. He stood up and quietly stepped back to avoid any more unexpected disasters. Master, you don't know that the 6 chancellors are going to jointly expel Ding Wenru and me. They also said that the primeval subdivision should have been abolished a long time ago. They said that the primeval subdivision is occupying the latrine pit and not doing anything. Anyway, if they want to bully people, they should bully people more. President Gu couldn't help but interrupt. Enchanting, don't exaggerate. It's not as serious as you said. Yun Shujiu glanced at him and took out a shadow stone. Master, look at the current situation of our primeval subdivision. There's only this small courtyard, and the territory has been occupied by the alchemy subdivision and the talisman subdivision. Did you see the drama on the gate? Also, the dirty things at the gate were all lost by the students of the other branches. If it weren't for me and Ding Wenru being smart, we probably wouldn't have been able to keep our lives. Chapter 5947, Filing a Complaint. When President Gu saw the image on the shadow stone, his head buzzed. This troublemaker had actually come prepared? No wonder she had ignored those students who had gone to the primeval institution to cause trouble. He had thought that this troublemaker had changed his personality, but it turned out that he had long been prepared to file a complaint. When he saw the content on the shadow stone, not to mention the short and hot-tempered old man, even the tall old man was so angry that his face turned ashen. Although President Gu had previously mentioned that the Primeval Academy's territory had been taken over by the Alchemy Division and the Talisman Seal Division, hearing about it and seeing it with one's own eyes were two completely different things. Especially when he saw the drama on the Primeval Academy's main gate and the mess at the entrance, how could he not be angry? Not to mention that there was also He Xinjiu who was adding fuel to the fire beside him. President Gu, who had a strong desire to live, saw that the situation was not good and quickly shifted the blame. Seniors, please calm down. The previous president was the one who occupied the territory of the primeval institution. I also want to make things right, but I can't defeat the 6 chancellors by myself. I can only maintain the current situation. However, I still take care of Enchanting and Ding Wenru. After saying this, President Gu desperately winked at He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu found it funny in her heart, but she still said, Master, President Gu really treats us well. Otherwise, we would have been expelled by the 6 chancellors. President Gu looked at Yun Shujiu gratefully and continued, Senior, although I am the president, I am still under the control of the 6 chancellors. There is nothing I can do. The short old man did not really want to beat President Gu up. He was so angry that he smashed the chairs and tables in the room into dust, which eased his anger slightly. This is outrageous. I'm so angry. Call those 6 little bastards over. I want them to give me a good explanation, the short old man said angrily. President Gu wiped the cold sweat on his head and said, Senior, now is the time for the grand competition. If we go to war, it will definitely affect the morale. Why don't we wait until we return to the academy? Affect my ass. We will lose anyway. The short old man said angrily. Master, how can you raise the prestige of others and destroy the spirit of our own family? Besides, only 3 chancellors came this time, and 3 of them are guarding the house in the academy. If you want to clean it up together. We can't miss a single one. Besides, if the people of the Divine Enlightenment Academy know about it, they will laugh at us. So, why don't we wait until we get back to clean them up and teach them a good lesson? He Xinjiu advised. The short old man's heart skipped a beat when he heard that they couldn't expose their dirty laundry. Yes, if Qi Chen of the Divine Enlightenment Academy found out about this, he would be laughed at. It was better to go back to the academy. Although you are a good-for-nothing, you have some brains and are much better than some people. President Gu, who had been shot in the chest, at this moment, He Xinjiu gave Ding Wenru a look and the two of them cleaned up the ruins in the room. He Xinjiu took out tables, chairs, teapots, and pastries from her storage ring and said respectfully, "Masters, please take your seats." The two elders were quite satisfied with their tactfulness. The short elder glared at President Gu, who looked like a wooden stake, and said, "Watch and learn. You are like a block of wood." President Gu, who was shot again, the short elder drank half a cup of tea before saying, "Little trash, since you've already entered the primeval branch, we can only reluctantly acknowledge your identity as students of the primeval branch. However, don't go along with the flow and address us as master. I won't accept a disciple of a trash like you." Chapter 59-48, Was There a Good-for-Nothing Like Me? Yun Shujo blinked her eyes and said, "But, you even drank my master's tea. You can't deny it, can you?" The short old man almost threw the teacup in his hand at He Xinjia's face. He had seen shameless people before, but this was the first time he had seen such a shameless person. "Don't play tricks on me. I would never take in a student with such a poor aptitude like you," the short old man said with a twitch of his lips. The tall old man did not say a word. It was clear that he tacitly agreed with the short old man's words. Yun Shujo said aggrievedly, "Master, how am I a trash? I was first place in the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion competition previously. Also, I was first place in the Trial of Miracle this time. Is there a trash as outstanding as me?" The first thought that flashed through the short old man's mind was that Yun Shujo was lying. How could a trash like her get first place with her cultivation? What kind of joke was this? Unless the other students were all trash. President Gu recalled that Yun Shujo had helped her out previously and returned the favor by saying, "Senior, what she said is true. She did indeed obtain first place in both trials. If she didn't obtain first place in this trial of the Ruins of Miracles, our results would have been even uglier." The short old man narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly, "Is there something fishy going on here? Just based on her? I don't believe it." President Gu thought to himself, "I don't believe it either." But it was the truth. The tall old man pondered for a moment and said, "Little girl, could it be that Bei Yu helped you?" Hearing the tall old man's words, He Xinjia's tears fell one by one. "Masters, Wu, help me save brother Bei Yu. He's definitely not dead. You two are so powerful, you must have a way to open the Ruins of Miracle again, right? Go in and help me find big brother Bei Yu." The short old man glared at the tall old man in annoyance. He was really asking for trouble. The tall old man was also a little embarrassed and said, "Little girl, the Ruins of Miracle can only open once every 100 years. There's nothing we can do. Moreover, since he hasn't been teleported out, there's a high chance that, impossible. Big brother Bei Yu will definitely be fine. He might have entered some place with an isolation array that prevented him from being teleported out. He must still be alive. You're all lying to me. Big brother Bei Yu will definitely be fine." Sob 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 sob. The short old man was annoyed by her crying. He said impatiently, all right, stop crying. If you want to save him, then cultivate properly. You can go in and save him after 100 years. After all, to cultivators, 100 years old is still a little brat. Why are you so anxious? He Xinjiu finally stopped crying, but she was still sobbing. Her red and swollen eyes were as pitiful as could be. "All right, you two can go back. After the 100-year competition, I'll make the decision for you and deal with those bastards." The short old man waved his hand and said. Ding Wenru couldn't wait to leave. This old man was temperamental, so he didn't want to slap them to death again. However, Yun Shujo didn't move. She wiped her tears and said, "Master, the second round of the competition will be held tomorrow. I heard that there will be a competition of spiritual power, talisman making, and pill making. Shouldn't you two give me a special lesson?" As the saying goes, if one grinds one's spear at the last minute, it will shine even if it isn't fast enough. What if the content you teach just happens to be the content of the competition? The short old man didn't have the time to correct her address. In any case, if he didn't accept it, then he didn't accept it. It was useless for her to call him that. He said snappily, "What wishful thinking. Even if we are willing to teach, can you guys learn it?" At that time, he would just kick these two good-for-nothings out of the house so that he would not drag down his reputation. At this moment, he heard Yunchujo ask, "What if I learn it in a month?" The short old man said contemptuously, "HMPH. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If you can learn it all in a month, I'll take you as my disciple." Yunchujo looked at the tall old man provocatively. "What do you say?" The tall old man was speechless. "If you really can do it, I'll take you as my disciple too. I have another condition. If I can do it, not only will you take me as your disciple, but you will also take Ding Wenru as well. Do you dare to agree?" Yunchujo straightened her neck and said indignantly. The short old man felt that Yunchujo could not do it at all, so he said without thinking, "Yes, I agree." "Okay. Then it's a deal. Masters, you can't deny it when the time comes. If you lie, you will be struck by lightning." After Hei Shinjo said that, she did not care about their reactions and dragged the dazed Ding Wenru out of the study. Chapter 5950, Will she be able to do it? Qingsheng, Ding Wenru's eyes were red and she did not know how to express her feelings. She did not expect that Yunchujo would still think of her at this time. Regardless of whether she would succeed in the end, as long as she had the heart, she would be extremely grateful. Yunchujo said nonchalantly, "We are good sisters. Naturally, we will share happiness and adversity together. If you have any good news, just don't forget about me." Ding Wenru nodded solemnly. "Qingsheng, don't worry. As long as I, Ding Wenru, am around, I will do my best to protect you. If I don't keep my word, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." The reason why the last oath was so smooth was because she had heard Yunchujo say it many times, so she naturally said it. Yunchujo grinned and said, Don't make such a vicious oath. If Nangongsher finds out, he will find me to settle the score." Ding Wenru's heart that was full of gratitude instantly turned into embarrassment and anger. She glared at her. "Don't talk nonsense. We are just ordinary friends. Let's get down to business. Can you really learn it in a month?" Although Ding Wenru had seen Yunchujia's abnormal performance when she carved the jade talisman seal, it was only the lowest grade explosive jade talisman seal. It could not be compared to the high-grade black-grade jade talisman seal recorded on the sheepskin scroll. Moreover, she had never seen Qingsheng refine pills. Could she do it? Don't worry. A month is more than enough. I'm not bragging. 5 days is enough. Hei Shinjo said confidently. Ding Wenru, bragging doesn't pay taxes, right? Just keep bragging. On the other side, the short old man was infuriated by Yunchujia's words before she left. He scolded, "This little girl is really audacious." President Gu was like a well-behaved little quail and did not dare to say a word. He was afraid that the short old man would settle the score later. The tall old man sighed. "Let's not talk about that little girl for now. What about the second round of the competition tomorrow? According to the current situation, we will most likely lose." The short old man was annoyed. "What else can we do? Just hang in there. Damn it, when I think of that old brat Chi Chen's face, I get so angry. It's also because these little brats aren't up to par. They really make me angry." Just as the short elder was grumbling, a guard outside the door reported, "President, the 3 chancellors and the 3 vice-chancellors request to see you." President Gu was not surprised by this. He guessed that they were here to discuss the second round of the competition tomorrow. Seniors, do you want to see them? President Gu asked tentatively. The short old man snapped, what do you want to meet them for? I get angry whenever I think of them. If I can't control my temper, I'll beat them up and let Chi-Chen watch the fun. Hearing that, President Gu could only say, since you don't want to meet them, I'll have someone bring them to the living room. The tall old man pointed at the screen bookshelf and said, no need. There should be a secret room here, right? Well, stay inside to regulate our breath for now. After they leave, we'll have other things to ask you. The general study rooms in the Divine Enlightenment continent would have a secret room for meditation and rest. President Gu naturally didn't dare to refuse, so he let the two old men into the secret room behind the bookshelf. After President Gu had arranged everything properly, he asked the guards to invite President Ren and the others from the alchemy division into the study room. After President Ren and the others entered, they all sighed. It was nothing more than saying that they would lose the 100-year competition again. Headmaster Ren said unhappily, speaking of which, that Yan Qingcheng is really a shit stirrer. She took the first place out of the blue and took a spot for no reason. Whether it is her spiritual power, alchemy, or talisman making, she is not good enough. These two trash from the primal institution are really occupying the latrine and not taking a shit. Luck is also a part of strength. Moreover, she is a student of the prehistoric branch. There must be something extraordinary about her. Maybe she can give us a surprise. President Gus' words were completely against his heart. However, in order to curry favor with those two in the dark, he displayed an extremely strong desire to survive. When the short old man heard President Gus' words, he could not help but nod his head. No wonder little Gu was the president. She was indeed a little stronger than those idiots. President Ren curled his lips slightly. President, don't put gold on her face. Just her? I reckon that she hasn't even learned the yellow rank medicinal pills and jade talisman seals. Director Zhao echoed from the side. That's right. I've heard that when she's in the talisman seal class, she often sleeps soundly. When she goes on stage, she'll definitely stare blankly like an idiot. President Gu was afraid that the short old man would come out and beat him up, so he hurriedly said, all right. Yan Qingcheng's matter ends here. Let's discuss other things. Chancellor Ren snorted coldly from his nose and then said, all right, then let's not talk about that trash. Our alchemy division's Xiao Yanxiao has always performed well. Whether she can get a good result in the alchemy competition tomorrow will depend on her. Chapter 59-52 Jian Zhuyu from our talisman-making branch is also not bad. If she performs well, she can also obtain good results, Director Zhao said with a smile. He was quite satisfied with Jian Zhuyu. Not only was she talented, but she was also elegant and generous. She was indeed worthy of being the outstanding person from a big aristocratic family. After thinking for a while, he added, in addition, although Ji Lingfeng is slightly inferior to Jian Zhuyu, he is also very good. If the two of them perform well in the Talisman Seal competition, we might not lose to the Divine Enlightenment Academy. Hearing their words, President Gu felt a little comforted. Although he would most likely lose, it was better not to make the situation too ugly. He looked at the silent Vice President Xiao and asked, Vice President Xiao, do you have a better candidate for the spiritual power competition? President Ji Yu's impression of Vice President Xiao had changed a lot recently because Vice President Xiao had changed from his usual arrogant and domineering attitude. He had been very low-key recently, and he had performed well at the welcoming banquet. In fact, he did not know that the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect knew very little about many things. He was afraid of giving himself away, so he naturally kept a low profile. After hearing President Gus' words, he sighed. If nothing happens to Bei Yu, I am confident that he will be able to obtain first place in the spiritual power competition. However, none of the remaining people are a match for Lan Luochen from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. They can only choose a few students with high spiritual power to go up and go through the process. President Gu also sighed. Sigh, there's nothing we can do about it. Even if we can't get first place, we have to do our best and strive for a better ranking. After all, the top 10 places are rewarded with points. The crowd discussed some more details. President Gu saw that it was getting late, so he let the crowd go back. However, when they went out, for some unknown reason, Director Ren and Director Zhao were both tripped by the doorsill and almost knocked their front teeth off. Both of them were stunned. They thought that their cultivation was not bad. How could they be tripped by the doorsill? What the hell? President Gu found it funny. Needless to say, this must be the work of that person in the dark. This was just the appetizer. When they returned to the academy, they would suffer. Although he was the president, he was usually restrained by 6 chancellors. Seeing that these people were going to be unlucky, he naturally gloated. Moreover, why was he always the one being scolded? It was their turn. After Chancellor Ren and the others left with their faces covered in dirt, the 2 elders walked out from the dark with unfriendly expressions. The short elder cursed, "These little brats really deserve a beating. If I wasn't afraid of being laughed at by that old brat Chi-Chin, I would have beaten him until he vomited blood." President Gu didn't dare to make a sound at the side, afraid that he would be blamed. After the short elder cursed for a while, he said, "Is what those little brats said true? Is the little girl really unable to do anything? Will she only embarrass herself if she goes up tomorrow?" President Gu thought for a while before carefully saying, "It's possible that she has less opportunities to display her talents, so we haven't discovered any of her specialties yet." The short old man snorted, "All right, I know she's a good-for-nothing even if you don't tell me. Tell her tomorrow morning. If she's afraid of losing face, don't go on stage." "Yes, this junior will remember it. Have you 2 seniors had dinner? Why don't this junior? We still have other things to do. Let's have a good competition tomorrow. Even if we lose, don't lose too badly." After the short old man finished his words, he walked away with the tall old man. I will not participate in Chapter 59-53. President Gu wiped off the cold sweat on his head and let out a long sigh. These 2 had finally left. But when he thought of the second round of the competition, he sighed again. It would be great if there was a miracle, but could there be a miracle? Early the next morning, the people of the 10 Directions Academy followed President Gu to the second round of the competition venue. The second round of the competition was the highlight of this century-old competition. All the major forces and spectators had come for the second round of the competition. After all, they could not see the details of the first round of the competition even if they wanted to. The venue of the competition was set in the central square of Miracle City. This square occupied a very large area. It was originally built for the century-old competition. At this time, a spacious competition stage had been set up in the center of the square. There were a few seats around it and 2 rows of VIP seats were set up on the stage. Although the people from the 10 Directions Academy arrived earlier, the square was already noisy when they arrived. Ding Wenru saw that Yun Chuzhou had been mumbling and gesturing with her hands. She looked a little worried. After returning to her room last night, Qingxing had been reading a sheepskin scroll. She had not slept all night. Had she gone mad? The participants of the 10 Directions Academy naturally had their own seats. After they sat down, Yun Chuzhou took out the sheepskin scroll and started to read it again. However, this guy had put a speech book cover on the outside of the sheepskin scroll to disguise himself. When the surrounding people saw the words on the cover, their expressions froze. On the cover was written, "The Empress and her 3 palaces and 6 courtyards had no choice but to talk about the past." Could this Yan Qingxing have gone crazy because of Bai Ye's death? Otherwise, why would she read such an immoral speech book? Moreover, she was reading it here without any reservations? Xiao Lianxiao also saw it and pursed her lips. This Yan Qingxing had previously pretended to accuse her of not saving Bai Yu. In the end, before Bei Ye's corpse was even cold, she was reading these unrated speech books. How shameless. Jian Zhuyu, who was sitting next to her, was not as obvious as Xiao Lianxiao, but there was a flash of disdain in her eyes. Before President Gu took his seat in the VIP seats, he coincidentally caught a glimpse of the cover of the words book in Yin Shujia's hand. His expression immediately stiffened. Only then did he remember that he had forgotten the short old man's advice in the rush of the morning, so he coughed and said, "Yan Qingqing, come here for a moment." Chapter 59-54, Registration. Xiao Lianxiao pursed her lips and said to Jian Zhuyu beside her, "The director only said that so that she wouldn't be embarrassed." In reality, he was afraid that she would embarrass herself. With a trash like her, she would probably be beaten half to death if she went up. Once Bei Yu died, Xiao Lianxiao didn't feel so disgusted with Jian Zhuyu. Instead, she hated Yun Chuzhou even more because she felt that if it wasn't for Yun Chuzhou, Bei Yu wouldn't have died. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou deserved to die. Jian Zhuyu's eyes flashed, and she said, "Yeah, if she went on stage, she would definitely lose face. She might even lose her little life on stage. It's just a pity, it looks like she won't sign up to participate in the spiritual power competition." Xiao Lianxiao complained somewhat disappointedly, "The dean is the same, why did he specially come to warn her? If the dean didn't say it, maybe that trash wouldn't know the immensity of heaven and earth to sign up." Jian Ziyu's eyes flashed again, as if she inadvertently said, "If someone carelessly reported her name, it would be good. Maybe she would directly die on the stage." Xiao Lianqiu's eyes immediately lit up. To register, one only needed to register under the competition stage. There was a specialist to do the statistics. If she pretended to be Yan Qingcheng and then reported Yan Qingcheng's name. Thinking of this, Xiao Lianxiao immediately stood up and went to the registration place. A smug look flashed across Jian Ziyu's face. She sneered in her heart. Idiot. However, only such an idiot would be useful. It was just the right time to get rid of Yan Qingcheng. After a while, Xiao Lianxiao returned excitedly. It was obvious that the matter had been accomplished. She thought of the shock and fear that Yan Qingcheng would feel when she heard her name later. She felt extremely comfortable. She was really looking forward to it. Yun Chuzhou was completely unaware of this. This fellow was trying his best to study the jade talisman carving method recorded on the sheepskin scroll. He had gained a lot of new insights when he compared it to the talisman and immortal rank inheritance that the heavenly Tao cliff had given her. Initially, she did not see anything special about those immortal rank inheritances. However, at this moment, she could feel the profundity and uniqueness within them. Although with her current cultivation level, she was still unable to learn those immortal rank inheritances, she still benefited greatly from comparing them. At this time, City Lord Murong was already making his opening remarks. It was nothing more than a set of words. After City Lord Murong finished speaking, he invited President Gu and President Yu to have a few more words. Only then did the person hosting the competition begin to read out the rules of the spiritual power competition. As long as it was the first round, the top 50 students could participate in the spiritual power competition and draw lots to decide the two sides. After a few rounds, the top 10 would be decided and each of them would be awarded points. After the host finished explaining the rules, he began to announce the names of the two academies. Divine Enlightenment Academy, Lan Luochen, Guanzijie. 10 Directions Academy, Nangong Shi, Jiang Shuangli. Yan Qingcheng. President Gu frowned. Yan Qingcheng had promised him before, why did she go to register now? How naughty. Ding Wenru pulled He Xinjiu, who was still studying hard, with a dumbfounded look on her face. Qingcheng, when did you go to register? He Xinjiu was at a loss. Register? What registration? The registration for the spiritual power competition. The host said your name just now. Look, Nangong Shi and the others are already on stage. I guess they will urge you to go on stage soon. He Xingjiu thought for a moment and knew that she had been framed. Moreover, it was most likely done by the two bastards, Xiao Lianxiao and Jian Zhuyu. If it was before, it would have been fine if there was a feud between Bei Yu and the others. But now that Bei Yu was already dead, the two of them were still unwilling to let it go. They were really courting death. Chapter 59-55, Drawing Lots. Just as Yun Chuzhou was thinking about it, she heard Xiao Lianxiao snicker, Enchanting, you are representing the face of the 10 Directions Academy. Don't embarrass yourself. Yun Chuzhou glanced at Xiao Lianxiao indifferently and spat out 2 words, idiot. Xiao Lianxiao stood up abruptly, you dare to scold me? Yun Chuzhou couldn't be bothered with her. This idiot was probably used by Jian Zhuyu again. At this time, the host on the stage said, Enchanting of the 10 Directions Academy, please go on the stage immediately. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to put the sheepskin scroll into her storage ring and go on the stage. This guy had already thought it through. When she was drawn later, she would casually make a few moves and admit defeat. Anyway, she was a waste, so she didn't miss this chance. With this thought, this fellow had the leisure to look around. He saw that there were a total of 15 people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy, and there were only 11 people from the 10 Directions Academy including her. There was no other way. In the first round, there were 34 people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy who entered the top 50, and 16 people from the 10 Directions Academy. Jian Zhuyu and the others still had to conserve their strength to compete in alchemy and talisman making. It was already very good that 11 people could enter. The people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy were all high and mighty because they felt that victory was within their grasp. If they were lucky, the top 10 would all be people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy. When the host saw that everyone had arrived, he began to draw lots. Everyone followed the draw to fight. As there were 5 more people from the Divine Enlightenment Academy, the 5 people who drew empty lots went straight to the next round. It was simply wonderful. The host began to announce the specific battle groups. Yun Chuzhou could not help but frown when she heard her opponent. It was really a narrow road for enemies. She had actually drawn Guanzijia, and it was the first group. Previously in the Ruins of Miracles, Guanzijia had been badly burned by the fire spat out by the skeleton tiger. He hated Yun Chuzhou to the bone. Now that he saw that his opponent was Yun Chuzhou, he immediately revealed a sinister smile. After the host announced the start of the competition, Guanzijia had a sinister smile on his face. Enchanting, you still have the guts to go on stage with your useless cultivation? You're really stupid. Kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times right now, and they'll let you off the stage safely. If not, it won't be good if I kill you in a moment of heavy hand. Yun Chuzhou originally wanted to admit defeat after a few moves, but it was clear that Guanzijia would not give her such a chance. This fellow had a headache. Why was it so hard for her to keep a low profile? She just wanted to be a quiet audience. Why did she have to be the main character? Others naturally didn't know that this fellow's inner drama was so rich. Seeing her stiff face, they thought that she was afraid. President Gu sighed in his heart. Now you know fear. What did you do before? Since you don't have the guts to compete, don't sign up. But now, it didn't matter that she lost miserably. After all, everyone knew that she was a good-for-nothing. The key was that the first round was very important. Who wouldn't want to start off with a good start? This round's loss was very tragic. It was definitely a fatal blow to the morale. This troublemaker was really restless. President Yu was in a good mood. Although Guanzijia had embarrassed himself at the welcoming banquet, it was only a competition of movement techniques after all. Today's competition could use spirit beasts. He was sure to win. Xiao Lianxiao was extremely excited. She deserved it. She really deserved it. She actually met Guanzijia. This Enchanting was really unlucky. Ding Wenru clenched her fists and looked at him worriedly. Although she knew that Yun Shujo was not as useless as she appeared to be, could she be Guan Ziji's opponent? Chapter 59-56, I alone am enough, Yen Qingqing. Have you thought about it? Why aren't you kneeling down and kowtowing? If you delay any longer, I won't give you this chance, Guan Zijie said arrogantly. He had been making a fool of himself recently. Today, he could finally hold his head up high. Naturally, he was very proud. He felt that he was at level 5 of the divine summoning, while Yun Shujo was only at level 1 of the divine summoning. He could easily win. Yun Shujo glanced at him. Isn't it good to be alive? Why are you tirelessly courting death? Guan Zijie was so angry that he was twitching. Good, you stinky girl. You really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. I'll send you on your way right now. Guan Zijie had learned his lesson from the previous match with Ding Wenru. He immediately released his huge spiritual bear. The huge bear's 2 claws had already materialized and looked exceptionally powerful. Everyone looked at Yun Shujo. Someone who knew about it curled his lips and said, "It said that Yen Qingcheng's spiritual power beast is a claw. It's so hilarious." Really? It can only materialize a claw? It can't even materialize an entire spiritual power beast? Isn't this too useless? Who says so? The 10 Directions Academy is getting worse and worse. Such trash is actually qualified to participate in the 100-year competition. Guan Zijie had also read Yun Shujia's introduction in the Book of Heroes. He curled his lips and said, "Yen Qingcheng, release your claws." Yun Shujo glanced at him, then straightened her back and said, "To deal with a trash like you, I don't need to release a spiritual beast. I'm enough alone." This guy wanted to release Dehua, but although Dehua's color had changed, it was inevitable that Lan Luochen and the people from the Divine Devil Hall would recognize it, so it was better not to release it. This fellow's intestines were turning green with regret. Why was the first spirit beast she thought of back then a pig? Even if it was a donkey. Guan Zijie saw how arrogant Yun Shujo was. He snorted coldly and directly directed his huge spirit bear to attack Yun Shujo. Yun Shujo jumped to the side and dodged the huge spirit bear's claws. The huge spirit bear naturally would not give up and once again struck at Yun Shujo with its claws. Yun Shujo once again nimbly dodged. The man and the bear fought at the same spot. Guan Zijie stood at the back and did not make a move. He was certain that Yun Shujo would not be a match for the giant spiritual bear. He was happy to watch the show. However, until the giant spiritual bear dissipated, Yun Shujo was not injured. She did not even fight back. She just relied on dodging to drag the giant spiritual bear away. The surrounding people could not help but look at Yun Shujo in a new light. Not to mention other things, this Yen Qingcheng's movement technique was very fast. It seemed that she was on par with people at the 6th or 7th level of the divine summoning. Guan Zijie could not help but feel a little angry when he heard the discussions of the crowd. After releasing the huge spiritual bear again, he also joined the battle. In this way, Yun Shujo was on the passive side. This fellow thought to himself, if she let Xiao Hanio curse, she could take care of this Guan Zijie. However, if the next person she met was also difficult to deal with, wouldn't she have no trump card? The spiritual power competition did not allow the use of talismans, pills, and the like. How could she defeat Guan Zijie? The Guai Chao in her dantian started to act cute, but Yun Shujo mercilessly rejected it. What a joke! If she let this guy out, wouldn't her identity be revealed? Goei Batsao could shrink, but if someone found out that it had such an ability, the consequences would be unimaginable. What should she do? Just as the fellow was worrying, the palm of his left hand heated up slightly, and Yun Shuji's eyes lit up. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.